It's been a couple days. I hope everybody's doing okay today. Let's make sure that my mic... Oh, wait. Nope. There we go. What's up, everybody? It's been a few days. In fact, my mic was turned off. I don't even know how that happened. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just up here pushing buttons. So, yeah, don't judge me. Or you can judge me. It's fine to judge me. It's also okay to judge me. What's going on, guys? Yeah, it's been a few days because I've been doing lots of stuff and trying to catch up on work on the channel. My son gave me a hard time for not growing my channel anymore because live streams don't really grow your channel, or grow my channel. At least it might grow other people's channels. But live streams don't really grow my channel. Most of my subs come from videos that I make, and of course I haven't been making videos for a while because I've been very busy. So my son was giving me a hard time about how many subscribers I have and how I'm not growing my channel. So we've been working on that, and we also just recently went over to Sons of Liberty, of course. Sorry, not Sons of Liberty. I have an echo. Oh, great. Okay, hold on. Oh, my mic wasn't off. My bad. Oh, man. Technical difficulties. I turned the other mic on. I have two cameras, but I only use one. I only ever use the one camera. Anyways, yeah. I didn't see the mic underneath the other mic. The one is muted, and this one isn't. Actually, if I look on here, I have 3 mics because my other camera has one too. Yeah, I have like 3 mics apparently. Turn my echo off, but I don't want to. I want all the echo. I want you guys to hear me in all the stereo. It's a good thing I looked at chat. Yeah, see? 21st century suffragettes understands. Okay. I knew you guys would understand my pain. Anyways, as I was saying, we went over and hung out with admin Doug on the political drain and talked about MAGA conspiracy and cult membership. And we talked about what Peter Thiel is going to do to us when he moves us into our different enclaves in the country. Really good conversation. It was super fun. I had a great time with Doug, and we're going to try and do it again because he said he only got to about half the questions he wanted to ask me. So we're going to do a part 2 and, try and go on there as often as I can. So that does mean less live streams because, unfortunately, that is the yin and the yang to me doing this is I only have enough time to do one thing or the other. I can either make videos, or I can go on people's shows, or I can be on live streams, but I don't have enough time to do all of these things. So, on those times when that happens, it's just not going to be as many live streams. So, but it was really fun. I enjoyed going on there. I really like Doug over there, and he's a fun dude to talk to, and great video he made, well edited, good show. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go see it. If you're not in the Discord, you should be in the Angry Ginger Discord, because if you're in the Angry Ginger Discord, you can see when I post those videos. Also, it gives you a notification. I saw Mega Mia Mama saying the other day that she doesn't get any kind of notifications for when I go live. If you're not getting notifications for when I go live, you can join the Discord, and it posts in general chat every single time that I go live. So join the Discord. That's what I would say to that. So anyways, yeah, it was good times. You should check out the video. It is really cool. He's a good dude. I enjoyed my time over there. I am talking to Pastor Benjamin and a friend of his also about doing some things. So we're going to continue to just, do the thing. Continue to move forward with the show and try to be on here as much as possible. I also made a new Klepper video, because a lot of the people that joined my channel originally joined because I made these Klepper videos, these Klepper reaction videos. And I recognize that a lot of people have unsubscribed to the channel, and that's probably because they were people that wanted to watch those types of videos. I don't have a lot of time to make those types of videos, But I kind of feel bad that this channel grew up off of that, and those people, you know, aren't getting the same content as, you know, my content has changed. So I made a new video about it. It's in the middle of, it's disputed, as all those Klepper videos get disputes because it is a Comedy Central thing. So I generally have to pretty much beg Paramount for permission to use the videos. So that video is in the works, and it'll come out soon, probably, if the dispute is falls in my favor. If it doesn't, then I guess we'll have to make a new video. But yeah, there's always something going on with me. I'm always doing stuff. I'm always trying to stay productive. And I am going on vacation in a couple weeks. And when I go on vacation, there will be no videos. There will be no live streams. I will just be on vacation. But let's just hope it's less dramatic than it was last time I went on vacation. Last time I went on vacation, literally Donald Trump got shot at, and that's how my vacation began. And Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race, and that's how my vacation ended. It was bookended by fucking craziness. So anyways, let's say hi to everybody. Yep, rest in peace, Norm. Thank you. Rest in peace to Norm. Good dude. They're taking all the good ones. All right, let's see who else is here. Troy Scott got number 1. Troy Scott winning, streaking hard. Swift returns with a quick number 2. And then Robert Carr coming in with bronze. What's going on, guys? And Nightbot following it up with 4th place. If you're not first, you're last, Nightbot. Let's see who else is here. Alan, what's going on, Alan? Talon over on Twitch. Thanks for being over there on Twitch, Talon. Let's see. Roxanne, what's up, Roxanne? What's up, Nina? DR. Bernie Sanders and Trump are basically the same person. I'm going to need an explanation for that one. That's a hot take. That's a real hot take. Let's see. Progressively, what's up, Progressively? Let's see. Liz, what's going on, Liz? What's up, Silent Siren? AG and MTG are basically the same people, too. Thanks, Alan. Thanks. I mean, we are both very trailer park. I mean, there are definitely some similarities between me and MTG. Both have a strong jawline. we both be lifting. Marjorie been lifting, if you know what I'm saying. And we both grew up in a trailer park. Well, she acts like she did. She didn't actually grow up in a trailer park, I don't think. Let's see who else is in here. Captain Spock. The song playing over and over is not annoying at all. It's hold music. It's hold music, Captain Spock. 5 Alarm Fire left us? Is that true? I hadn't seen him in a while. He's told me before that just being online is not great for him with his job. So I don't want to speak too much on that, as that's his private information. But that could be why. But I saw a notification from Discord that he left the server, but I haven't had time to go and check on it. Oh, so you left the server? Oh, okay. I don't know. I'll check. I'll send him a message after. I'll send him a message after the show, and we'll see if we can figure out. I just figured he was on vacation or something. But like I said, he's also told me before that if he ends up at one point just hopping off, not to be too concerned, but. Nowadays, we're real concerned anytime somebody disappears. All right, so yeah, we'll have to check that out. It's not going to be on Discord for a while. Yeah, isn't Pants in Greece or something like that? Wasn't he on vacation? Of course, I said hi to 21st Century Suffragettes. Let's see who else. I think we got everybody. Dan, what's up, Dan Steely? Dan was the first person. No, a couple other people said my mic. Pinkerbell, I just saw you. Pinkerbell, do you know who Matt the Letter Hack is? I saw a comment on Matt the Letter Hack's video from a year ago by Pinkerbell. I was like, hey, that's Pinkerbell. You have 5 mics. 21st Century Suffragettes. How do you have 5 mics? I only have 1. Well, I guess I have 3 because the other 2, right? Thanks for subbing to Political Drain there, Troy Scott, and thanks for leaving some comments for the algorithm. I appreciate that. Now I'm catching up. I'm catching up, guys. I'm catching up. Oh, he's moving to Greece. Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, died. Are they getting out of here while they still can? Is that what's going on? Is that they're just like, they're getting out of here as soon as possible? Oh, you're one of Matt's Discord mods. No shit, Pinkerbell. That's too funny. Let's just say I have a meeting set up for me and Matt and Benjamin Dixon to have a discussion about the future of alternative left-wing media. So that should be interesting. That'll be fun. I'm glad to hear that he knows Pinkerbell. He knows good people. Yeah, Nora from Cheers died. What's up, Mitchell? Yeah, well, it seems like people are opting out right now. It seems like they're making the smart decision to get out while they can. That's what I'm guessing. Probably a good idea. That is not financial advice. That is not advice of any kind, guys. Do not take my joke seriously. So what do we got today? Let's push some buttons. What do we got today? I want to talk about Trump embarrassing us by ambushing the South African president with fucking conspiracy theories and just like, oh my God! God damn it! Donald Trump is like the fucking Lou Gehrig of embarrassing America. It's like he wakes up and he's like, I'm on like day 257 in a row. Got to do something today to embarrass us so that way I don't break my streak. Jesus Christ, man. We literally have like a fucking conspiracy theorist online troll for a president. And in watching that, in making that Jordan Klepper video, like that really came like to the forefront of what these people want. They don't want a president. They don't want a person that actually gets stuff done. They want a troll. Like, this is what they want. This is like, I know it sounds weird as hell to say, but he's actually doing what they wanted him to do. He's trolling. He's saying the dumb shit. It's just crazy. It's crazy because it's like if you got to vote for the manager of your business, the person who runs the business, and there was one guy that was like, I'm going to get you guys raises, and I'm going to get you guys paid time off. I'm going to get you guys sick time. I'm going to get a 4-day work week. And then the other guy was like, I'm mostly just going to talk shit to like the other managers, and then every once in a while, I'm probably going to just like take a shit on the desk. And people are like, yeah, that's what I would do. I'm voting for that guy. It's like, it's actually idiocracy. It's fucking insane. Anyways, I want to watch a little bit of that so that way I can get myself properly angry. Properly angry. Uncle Kyle did a video about the left buying a Joe Rogan for the left. Who is the Joe Rogan? Because they didn't pay me any money. They didn't pay me any money. I tell you that, Troy Scott. Look, there is one thing that me and Joe Rogan 100% have in common. I can talk for 3 hours, no problem. All right? If the left wants to send some of those millions my way, I talk for 3 hours free of charge, lefties, okay? You guys want to donate to the bucket, you just drop some money in my hat, and I will 100% talk to people for 3 hours and ask questions like, have you ever done DMT? Okay? Like, I know, like, dumb facts, too, okay? I know lots of dumb facts. I could 100% be the Joe Rogan of the left very easily for the low price of, like, I don't know, I'd probably do it for, like, a couple $100,000. Yeah, I mean, don't tell them that because the bargaining phase hasn't began yet. But I'd probably do it for, like, $200,000. Not even kidding. I'm just saying. Just saying. Oh, Tyler Cohen. I like him. He's got sharp suits. He's got nice suits. Brian's a good dude. I like Brian. He's got sharp suits. Doesn't have any dumb facts, though. And can he talk for 3 hours? I don't think so. Fun fact, speaking of dumb facts, fun fact, Brian Tyler Cohen has actually thanked me for reacting to one of his videos. Boom! Take that, peasants! That's right. Brian Tyler Cohen, probably like a year and a half ago, came on one of my reactions to one of his videos. I think it was about Trump not being religious, not actually being religious, and said, "Thanks for featuring me on your channel." And I was like, okay. All right. I feel like I have imposter syndrome all of a sudden. Yeah, it was pretty cool actually. I like Brian Tyler Cohen. He's a good dude. So anyways, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch a little bit, but I let MSNBC take over because I can't do the full 45 minutes like I did with the Mark Carney interview. That was a lot. That was a lot to deal with. So we got that. We've got a new Randy Rainbow song to break it up called the Trump Derangement Syndrome, or That's Trump Derangement. Because one of the dumb facts that I continue to point out to people over and over again was that the term TDS was literally created for Trump supporters. Trump Derangement Syndrome originally was a term that was used for Trump supporters that act like Donald Trump never does anything wrong. And then the Trump supporters absconded with the term. It's kind of I was just noticing I haven't subscribed to Randy Rainbow, and that's a sin. Okay, probably on my main channel, not on this one. Okay, so anyways, we got that to break up some of the monotony. We got Bernie Sanders apparently going on Andrew Schulz's podcast and making him see some facts, some reality, and we watched the Pete Buttigieg Andrew Schulz one, and that was pretty good. But once again, I didn't want to just sit here and just watch the Andrew Schulz Bernie Sanders podcast. Maybe we'll watch that sometime. But I like to see it. I like to see these guys talking to people like Bernie. I like to see Theo Vaughn talking to people like Bernie or Stavros, guys that it is good to see that some people do have the patience to sit down with these guys and attempt to get them to understand, like, electing a clown that trolls people is bad for the country. Someone's got to be the adult in the room, and it's not me, guys. I'm not the adult in the room at all. So glad to hear that Bernie's doing it. Glad to see Pete Buttigieg is doing it. Glad to see Stavros is doing it. We've got a video on why Mark Zuckerberg's rebrand is so suspicious. I think he's a robot. That's what I'm going with. We got the IHIP ladies, because now it is mandatory to have an IHIP video somewhere within the mix, just in case I feel like getting a little bit of the IHIP ladies in my life. Okay, so we got them talking about Elon Musk, because I think anytime we talk about Elon Musk from now on, we're going straight to the IHIP ladies. They are amazing. Amazing. And then what do we have? Oh, yeah, we have David Pakman. Because I watched this the other day. Not this video, but I was watching Trump do this the other day. It is so goddamn weird. It's so weird. The questions that people ask Trump are insane. Like the lady that was like, how does the president, how does he stay so fit? It's like Kim Jong-un shit. It's Kim Jong-un shit. It's so goddamn weird. And then when somebody asks him a hard question, he gets super fucking mad. We are in the dumbest timeline ever. It's fucking insane. Like, if I told you, like 8 years ago, that every person that talks to Barack Obama asks him super, like, weird questions and tells him how amazing he is, and then every time somebody asks a hard question, he gets upset, yells at them, and then threatens to prosecute them, you guys, even the people on the left, would be like, this is bad. Like, this is not good. This is actually a bad situation. Why is this Obama fellow getting so... Why is he getting so narcissistic? At least that's how I react. And it's fucking weird, in my opinion. It's very weird. What's happening, Renee? What's going on? All right. BTC initials are high dollar. That is true. That is true. Let's see. All right. Stays fit by lifting those Big Macs. He can't answer because he's not fit. Oh my God, it is. It's the dumbest timeline. Like, I can't. Can I just. Here, let's just have a confessional. Let's have a confessional moment with you guys. I'm going to have a confessional moment with you guys. I can't do 100% serious with this fucking timeline. I can't do it. Like, you know how many times now that I've tried to engage with somebody? Let's take like the airplane, the Qatar airplane, right? Where people are like, dude, it's not for him, it's for the government. And I'm like, well, he's donating to the library so that way he can continue to use it afterwards. Forget that. Just think about the fact that he was given a $400 million airplane and then went over and signed a deal like as fast as he could to then put a data center in the QAE after completely fucking everybody in America by telling them he's going to make America first. There's so many things to talk about here. Oh yeah, also the plane's going to cost us like $1 bajillion to fucking pay to retrofit. Also, it's like ungodly too big. There's so much wrong with this, and then all the person says in return to like 5 minutes of being like, can you see how corruption is bad when it's the president of the United States? And they're just like, you just don't like Trump, bruh. Shit, son, get owned. Making the libs cry. And I'm like, why do I even try to do this? So I'm kind of done, I'll be honest with you. I did speak a little bit to it on Admin Doug's show on the political drain. I did speak a little bit still about how I'm trying to figure out what this mental illness is that's causing this problem. But I'm doing that in a different way now. I'm still writing my book. I'm on like the second chapter. Written the second chapter. Going on third. There's other books I want to write, all to do with this topic. And I think that that's where my energy needs to go. I can't be Destiny. I can't be Hassan or, I don't know, all these guys that like debate shit, right? I can't be that because I don't have the patience for bad faith people. I don't. It drives me up a wall to know that people are not interested in having a real conversation and trying to fix these things. That all they care about is being entertained and, you know, fighting for whatever side of whatever argument they want to be on, as long as the people that follow them continue to follow them for it. I just can't do it. So that's my confessional, guys. That's my confessional. What up, Bandit? What's going on, Bandit? So anyways, 11 billion. This is all I got.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way.
Yes. Just can't, how am I supposed to take
this is an island.
How am I supposed to take
surrounded by water, big water, ocean water.
How am I supposed to take this serious? How am I supposed to argue with this?
Now, all I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets.
How am I supposed to argue with people? Okay?
Obama. I love Tesla.
Like, how am I supposed to? I can't do it. Okay. Here we go. Water is wet. I'll argue with this guy, though.
Yeah, you effin' with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word.
Okay. I can argue with Ben. Me and Ben, we can
P-word. P-word is female genitalia.
Yeah, we can go that route, all right? We can go that, because I'm going to do this one right here.
I'll explain sexual harassment to you and me. Sexual harassment, panda.
That's where I'm going. I'm staying in my lane, guys. I'm staying in my lane, and when we get to the Hector Alizado Camacho Mountain Dew the third election, I think I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and I'm just going to go on a world tour of talking shit about whoever the other political, my other political opponents are going to be. That's the current plan, guys. The current plan is I'm just going to go on and roast people because that's what gets the job done in this America. I'm going to just troll people, talk shit, play sound bites, make videos about them. I mean, if that's where we're going, that's where we're going. All right, let's watch Donald Trump. Let's watch Donald Trump embarrass America. Let's do that. Let's watch Donald Trump embarrass America with the South African president here.
Another day for the history books today from Donald J. Trump. An astonishing display from him in the White House today. Donald Trump.
Well, just a heads up, when she says another day to be written in the history books, that's not a good thing, guys. That's not a good thing. Bucket, 10 memberships. Thank you, Bucket. Thank you. Thank you, Bucket. I appreciate you.
Meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader inside the Oval Office. But what he did instead was embarrass and humiliate the people of the United States of America.
I'm in, lady. I'm in. Nicole Wallace, is this Nicole Wallace? I don't know any of the media people. I know, what's his name? I know what Gutfield looks like. I know what Jesse Waters. Look, you want to know the saddest part about being a content creator? Is everybody accuses you of only watching left-wing people, but in reality, the only thing that you watch is right-wing people. Those are the only people that I know anything about is right-wing media commentators.
Again, in his meeting with President Ramaphosa, Trump peddled unsubstantiated claims of genocide in South Africa, of white South Africa.
Dude, the longer you look at Trump, the weirder he fucking looks. Look at that face. He looks like he's gained some weight in the cheeks, hasn't he? Those eyes are puffy. Those are very puffy eyes. What is going on with this man? He is turning into a frog.
Africans, a group that ruled during apartheid in South
Apartheid. Like that hair?
Africa. It is a fringe conspiracy theory pushed by the likes of Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, and David Duke.
Oh yeah, those are good people to be included in when someone asks you who are the other people that believe this thing that you believe. It definitely should include Tucker Carlson and David Duke. That makes you feel as though these claims are 100% legitimate.
Former Grand Wizard of the KKK.
We take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, brother. How about all those people in Palestine, dog? Hold on. Isn't South Africa, like, what is the population? Isn't it the majority of South Africans? Okay, hold on. Before I screw this up. Before I mess this up. My daughter always says I use too many words when I Google. That's not true. Okay, it is 7% white. Okay. I thought it was way more. They just own all the land. That's what it is. Okay. All right. I had to make sure. Because I was about to say something that was completely incorrect. Google saved my life. Onward.
And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very safe.
Dude, have you guys seen the videos? The white farmers saying that they aren't fleeing South Africa. How is it Donald Trump hasn't seen those videos?
Thing to see, but I hope we can have an explanation of that. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
Okay, so this poor dude, this whole time, like, they're editing it out, but this whole time this dude's supposedly is trying to get a word in, and Trump just keeps talking. Why is Trump so orange, dude? I'm telling you, when you pause it and look at his face, he gets weirder and weirder every day.
So next, Trump asked his staff to dim the lights and roll in a television.
like it's the movie day at school. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at the Oval Office, dude. Or that's not the Oval Office. That's where they meet. What is going on, dude? It is so gaudy now.
Once the lights were dimmed and the television was there, they played a video that Trump claimed showed evidence.
Hold on, go back. We gotta go back. We're gonna go back.
And the television was there.
Hold on, pausing. Is that, are they streaming this? Is it an X video? It is! It's a fucking X video? Oh my God! Fuck me! It's showing him a fucking tweet! Oh God!
I love Tesla.
Oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
That's okay. We're showing a foreign leader a fucking tweet on X, dude. Remember my confessional like 5 minutes ago? Remember that shit? This is why I can't do serious politics anymore. Because politics aren't serious anymore.
They played a video that Trump claimed showed evidence of genocide against white farmers. Here's the reality as reported by the New York Times. Quote, there have been killings of white South Africans, but police statistics show they are not killed at a higher rate.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
Than other South Africans. And while the South African government did pass a law permitting the government to take land without compensation, the process is subject to judicial review. President Ramaphosa did his part to fact check Donald Trump in real time.
Oh, wait. No, I figured it out. So now I know why Trump's super upset about this. Trump's like, judicial review doesn't mean a goddamn thing. He's like, wait, do these guys know you don't have to listen to the judges? It's true. It's true. They said, bring back Kilmar. And I said, no. And they didn't do anything. Oh my God, I figured it out.
He added that he didn't even recognize some of the locations in the video. Here's what he had to say.
Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small...
Yeah, because they're playing a video from a fucking, an opposition government. You're claiming that the current president, who opposes the people that said these things, you're claiming that he believes the same things as his opponent does. Like, and these people, they're just fucking too dumb to actually realize. Well, they've never looked at any of it, right? They've never looked at any of this. What am I saying? Once again, why am I trying to at all make sense of this?
Small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
To take land? To take land? What? Why did he say that like that? Jesus Christ!
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when
there's no evidence of this. If you could just show evidence, real evidence, not a fucking tweet. Real evidence that this is going on, please. Holy Christ.
When they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No.
This poor dude. Oh my God, America. Oh, we are so embarrassed. We're so embarrassed.
Nothing happens.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed.
He's gotta explain it to him like he's fucking 5. Everything needs to be explained to Donald Trump like he's 5.
Unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people.
God. Trump's just sitting there going,
oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
he's like, he wants to do it so bad.
After all that, the leader of South Africa's president, tried to lighten the mood a little bit. Trump suggested that all of this tension between them could have been avoided as...
Oh my God! He's like, I don't know why you're so upset right now. It's not like I just ambushed you with a video off of X from a conspiracy theorist. That was a Laura Loomer video.
South Africa had just bought him an airplane.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
Oh, shit, son! Fuck! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! He said, this isn't real life, guys. This isn't real life.
Lady, I got buddies who died face down in the muck so that you and I could enjoy this family restaurant.
He just said, I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give to you. Bro, at what point do foreign leaders just stop coming? At what point do foreign leaders just stop showing up? Like, we can't go to other countries now because people are like, oh, look, it's a dumbass American. And other people from other countries don't want to come here because they're like, it's filled with dumbass Americans. At what point do foreign leaders go, yeah, I'm not going to go over there with that dumbass American president? Holy shit, man. We are so cooked.
An airplane.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. Okay.
Dude, he's not laughing. He says, I wish you did. Everybody else is laughing. He's not. Oh my God.
I would take it. If you...
He said, I would take it. He's fucking dead serious, guys. He's fucking dead serious.
I love Tesla.
Oh my God. He's not. Dude, he's not joking. Everybody else is laughing. He's not laughing. Look at this shit. God damn
South Africa had just bought him an airplane.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. Okay. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay.
Holy shit, the people that follow this guy, they need to be studied. Like, legit, fucking, like, if anybody else gets into power in the next 8 years, which I actually don't think is going to happen. I think we're cooked. I think J.D. Vance wins in 2028. Peter Thiel gets what he wants. America gets broken into enclaves in which we are treated like corporate employees. We're all made to fight in a death arena at that point. That's where I'm going with right now. But if somebody does get into office in the next 4 to 8 years, for the love of Christ, hear me when I say this. Study this shit. Study this shit. Holy fuck. The people that follow this guy, I mean, they can't have IQs higher than like 50, 60. Like 70 is like, you know what it is. Lower than 70, you know the word. Okay. Oh
well,
my God.
There you have it.
Oh no.
Conspiracy theory peddling leader of the United States of America sitting inside a gilded Oval Office, again tarnishing America's image around the world. That's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. New York Times diplomatic correspondent Michael Crowley joins us. Also joining us, Princeton University professor, MSNBC contributor Eddie Glaude's here.
No. These are not the people you need for this. See, this is why nobody likes the mainstream media. These three gentlemen, I mean, they might have some wicked jokes. I might be calling this a little too early, okay? I might be calling this a little too early, but I see three men with some nice glasses, okay? And also they're well-groomed. Well, the guy on the far left, the gray suit, not as well-groomed, okay? No offense, guy on the far left. But I don't think this is how you win this one, guys. If they don't, like, immediately start roasting Donald Trump, this is an L, okay? It's an L unless you come out and just start talking mad shit, like, right off the bat. All right, I'm going to give him a chance. I'm really sorry. We're going to give him a chance.
With me at the table, former Undersecretary of State during the Obama administration and author of Mandela's Way, Lessons on Life, Love, and Courage. Rick Stengel's here. We need some life, love, and courage to get through this today. You watched the whole thing. Give me your analysis.
Hold on. She's got some roasting going on. I like the deadpan. Yeah, we're cooked. We're cooked. Don't worry, guys. We're this far away.
Where's your tattoo? Why come you don't have a tattoo?
That's where we're at, guys. Don't worry. It's coming fast.
I mean, it was an astonishing display. It's kind of a circus that he has now with these sprays. Instead of actually going in and talking to the world leader, he kind of puts them on display.
For whom?
I don't know. I guess for his own audience. I think part of what...
They're starting to figure it out, boys. You think? Do you think he's doing it for his own audience?
I love the poorly educated.
Do you think this fucking guy?
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way.
Do you think this guy?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
Do you think he was doing it for his audience? Okay?
I love the poorly educated.
Do you think he was doing it for his audience? Fucking Jim in the blue suit? Oh my God, these people.
I find amazing too is that he has no impulse control, so he just keeps taking questions instead of saying, okay, we'll take some questions after we talk. But I think his attempt to humiliate Cyril Ramaphosa wasn't successful. I thought President Ramaphosa conducted himself with great poise.
That is not how Trump supported. They're like, dude, he trolled him so hard. He rolled into TV, bro. Oh, he got him so hard. Man, he's making the libs cry, bro. Like I said, you can't get me to believe now that Trump supporters voted for Trump for any other reason than the most immature bullshit reasons that I have ever seen before in my life. They're like, he went to UFC, bro. He goes to UFC. Holy shit.
He was good-humored about it. He didn't insist on rebutting those charges, even though, for the most part, Trump's lies and exaggerations were extreme. There are about 100,000 Afrikaner farmers in South Africa. By the way, they are in no way responsible for apartheid, which their predecessors created. But they do own a majority of the farmland. And I would argue that so much of this crime is not black on white crime, but poverty on wealth crime. And I mean, I know you didn't see this in the stories. We were chatting about it before. Cyril brought a couple of folks along with him. Johann Rupert, the industrialist who knows Trump's back since the 70s.
Bro, he brought a bunch of white golfers that he was like, go ahead and ask these rich white people if they're being genocided. The rich white people would like to speak to you about whether or not there is white genocide going on in their home country. And Donald Trump was like, not necessary. Elon Musk has shown me a tweet. It's from Laura Loomer. I
love the poorly educated.
Oh my God.
70s, Ernie Els, the golfer, and John Steenhuisen, who was the Afrikaans agriculture minister in his government. Yeah. All of whom said, this is crime.
Wait
South
until my
Africa has
video
a
comes
terrible
out.
crime problem.
They
Mr.
literally
President, we'd
voted for
like
him 'cause they
help with
thought
our
he
crime
was going
problem.
to troll
But
people.
it isn't just focused on this small group of Afrikaner farmers. And I thought they made that point. You know, not everybody's going to see that. They're going to see the fireworks. But I thought it lowered the temperature in the room in a way that
No,
hopefully
brother.
would make some kind of dialogue useful.
Strike one.
For what?
Well, I mean, to take down the temperature. So, for example...
Oh, what is this lady's name? What's her name again? Whatever her name is, I fucking love this lady. She just looked at him deadpan as fuck and said, "For what?" Oh, no. Oh, no.
But one of the things that's tragic about this is that the U.S. cut off about $400 million in AIDS funding to South Africa. That's huge. That's PEPFAR money that has saved the lives of millions of people in southern Africa. They don't have that in their budget where that money comes from. They have to raise taxes. Those are children dying, families dying, mothers dying. So, part of the reason that I think Cyril Ramaphosa came here is to say, look, we do need your help.
Wallace. Thank you.
By the way, it's true, as Secretary Rubio said, South Africa has been on the opposite side of so many issues in the UN between the U.S. And other nations. They're always aligned with the non-aligned groups. Even Nelson Mandela was on the other side of the U.S. on a lot of these issues, but that's not a reason to stop talking. And I think South Africa wants to kind of repair the breach.
Michael Crowley, if you're a foreign...
All right, this guy, I had no hope for this guy at the start, but he kind of looks like the spy who shagged me's father. So I think he might be able to come in hard. I think he might be able to... This guy might spit some hot fire. Let's hope.
Leader or working in the foreign service for a foreign leader, and you watch the information that Trump peddled inside the Oval Office and the quality of the content on the TV screen, what do you believe about the...
Dude, she low-key rose. She said the quality of the content on the fucking TV screen, dude. She literally just said everything I said about it being a tweet, but she said it so much smarter than I did. I think I'm in love. I think I might be in love.
Who explains sexual harassment to you and me? Sexual harassment, panda.
Sorry, Nicole.
The American foreign policy apparatus.
Oh.
Well, it's off the rails, Nicole.
There you go. All right, strong start, Michael. Strong start. All right, here we go. I got faith in Michael.
The one thing you can say, I suppose, is that by this point, maybe the world is getting used to, I would say, discounting things that the President of the United States says. So,
very nice. All right. Coming in hotter. All right. You could say it with a little more oomph, but that's okay. You got a strong message. You're not bringing it with the tone that I'd like to hear.
At some point, I think you reach a kind of there he goes again situation. Not to diminish how astonishing this spectacle was, but now it's sort of becoming part of the Trump show. It was like you when that tirade against Ukrainian President Zelensky.
My brother, we are all part of the Trump show now.
Zelensky happened in February. We all thought, how can this be possible? We've never seen anything like this. And, now we're seeing it again.
Yeah, we got 3.5 years to go, brother. Unless these foreign leaders are like, nah, I'm not going to go hang out with Trump. We're going to see it over and over and over again. I guarantee you, this is only going to get dumber.
It's becoming the new norm, which is not to normalize it. But, I also think, Nicole, at some point you have to wonder when foreign leaders are going to try to avoid being put in.
There you go, buddy. Look, this guy's on it. He's all right. Okay. First guy was a strike. Okay. But this is like a double to left field. Okay. He's on base and in scoring position.
That position. I spoke to a foreign policy professional who is in constant touch with foreign diplomats who said he was aware of some foreign leaders who actually are hoping to avoid invitations to the White House because they don't want to sit there in the Oval Office with President Trump and just have these, to get berated or to have some kind of a circus breakout. And it just makes diplomacy extremely dysfunctional when the president is so volatile, so unpredictable.
Dude, they picked his ass for a reason, okay? They picked this dude for a reason. Because, guys, remember, cognitively, he's a genius, guys. Just remember.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Yeah, exactly. He passed all the important tests, guys. And that's when these fucking billionaire oligarchs are like, this is our dude. This is the guy. This is the one we want. Holy Jesus.
Predictable. And as you point out, relying on, debunked misleading or false information in the way he forms his opinions. It's going to make foreign leaders want to keep him at an arm's distance.
Michael Crowley, what happens if the flow of good information to the United States of America breaks down and stops?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I love the poorly educated.
Oh, no, Nicole. Oh, no, Nicole. Oh, no.
Well, it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, isn't it, Nicole? I mean, it's a big problem. And there's sort of two different categories of this happening right now. I think one is that the president is fed false information and conspiracy theories by people, many of whom my senses are sort of in his more casual or social orbit. Maybe somebody hands him a printout at Mar-a-Lago, some golf buddy or someone who's a member at the club, that kind of a thing. That can be anything, and that can be some pretty wild stuff.
Dude, fucking, despite Shagme's father, Austin Powers' father is spot on right here. His Faja is fucking spot on.
The other category, which is also very serious, is what's happening in the intelligence community right now.
Dude, there is no intelligence community, brother.
I love the poorly educated.
There is no. The intelligence community does not exist anymore.
More formal process of information that's given to the president that has the imprimatur of the IC, as we call it, the intelligence community, the U.S. government. And, there are signs that the product that he's getting, including in a story that the Times reported yesterday, suggesting that Tulsi Gabbard's chief of staff was trying to influence an intelligence report having to do with the Venezuelan gangs in the United States, possibly for political reasons. That flow of information now may be getting influenced and corrupted. And, what are the implications? I mean,
can we just stop with the conjecture? Can we stop? It is being fucking corrupted, dog. It is.
The whole world gone crazy. Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Just fucking say it, brother. It's what's happening.
Nicole, where do I start? It's just it's very disturbing, and obviously it's going to make for bad decision making and bad things for the United States if the president is acting on false or warped information.
Oh God, we didn't even get to see the third guy. That's okay. That guy, he was a double off the wall. Like, I wouldn't say it was a home run. I don't even think he scored. Like I said, needs to be a little more forceful with the attitude. But second guy did kind of pull it together. First guy struck out hard, left the team wanting. Second guy came up, nice double off the wall. All right. Wow. We are in so much trouble. We have an insane person with like a sub 70 IQ as the president of the United States right now, and shit's not going to get better. Let's watch the IHIP, ladies. This is all we got left, guys. We got 3.5 years of the dumbest president that has ever lived. Holy Christ. We're gonna need a lot of IHIP to get through this. So let's watch the IHIP, ladies. Let's watch him talk about how Elon Musk is melting down live after ruining his own life. There are silver linings to this. Let's check these ladies out.
But we can do better. It's working, but we can do better. Pumps, I want to show you what a whipped puppy looks like?
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
Hold on. How does Elon Musk own a whole goddamn company that shoots rockets into fucking space, have more money than any fucking person on Earth, has a literal company that hooks up internet to shit, and this is what his fucking camera looks like? This is the biggest fucking troll of all time. What the fuck is going on with this camera?
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
You think you've done enough, dog? See, I don't think he's telling the truth. I think he's trying to get the spotlight off of him because he already did what he wanted to do. He already got in there. He already did the Curtis Yarvin playbook. He already stole everybody's information. He already fucked up all the government programs and got people fired. He did what he was supposed to do. And now he's trying to back out because him and Trump and Curtis Yarvin and J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel, they all think all we got to do now is let him just like back out and people will forget about him. I ain't forgetting about shit. I know what this dude did and I know why he did that shit. All right? Like, I'm not going to be one of these people that, like, this guy gets to all of a sudden just slink off into the shadows and be like, oh, no, like, he's not involved in politics or anything anymore, guys. He made a mistake. He stepped in, and he stepped in the poo-poo, and now he's leaving because he ruined his life. Nah, fuck that. He didn't ruin anything. He did what he wanted to do. He did that shit. It's all part of the plan.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Okay. What about
Okay, although I will say this. As a caveat, after I just went on a 2-minute long rant about how I'm not going to fucking fall for this shit, I will give you one option, and that is Donald Trump leaving him out. Like I said before, Elon thought Donald Trump was like his father. Donald Trump was the father figure that Elon Musk never had. He was like, this is a guy who, if I pay him, he's like a pay pig father figure, right? He just gives him money. It's like, instead of prostitution, instead of paying for the women to have his children, he was paying a man to act like he was his father. And then Donald Trump realized how much he dislikes being a father and was like, get the fuck away from me, Elon. You're always at my house. I don't want to play Fortnite with you. So there is a chance, guys. There is a chance, actually, that Donald Trump is no longer being Elon's daddy. And now Elon is so upset with Donald Trump that he won't give him any more money. There's a chance. That could be true. That could be real.
So here he is, facing the consequences of the aftermath of a ketamine spiral, doing horrible business dealings that caused him to be under 16 different investigations. He's doing Nazi salutes. He buys Twitter, renames it. It's just been an abject failure. And furthermore, I've read a lot of reports that his cars, Tesla, aren't even that great. They're not even the best EV on the market. They haven't evolved.
See, this is why I like these ladies. That's a nice roast right there. Once again, just like these ladies need to get that Nicole lady on their show. Like, they could be fucking unstoppable if they had that Nicole lady from MSNBC on here. Dude, you get those three ladies in there. Oh, dude, the roasts, they don't stop.
Technologically, like other cars have. So here he is facing consequences, and how smug he is there, and the lack of acknowledgement that maybe I should have just focused on my businesses and faced the music, because this public global backlash that he's dealing with, I think he will never be able to dig out of. I do not think his reputation is recoverable, and I don't think it should be.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you on that. Two things stuck out to me. Like you said, he has zero ability to say, I made some mistakes and some poor choices, and if I had it to do over again, I'd do differently. No accountability. And then he says, well, if I see a reason to do it. The reason he doesn't need to buy another presidency is all the damage he's done to the United States in this presidency.
There you go. This lady wins. Is that Pumps? I don't know the names yet.
And he got out of all the trouble that he was in with the investigations, like you mentioned.
Exactly. She knows this lady is fucking killing it. That's a home run.
Because he bought and paid for Donald Trump. And I hope for the American people, we don't have another presidential candidate that's up for sale.
Well, I think he puts that caveat in there. Unless I need to, he needed to buy Donald Trump.
That's right.
And so now he's doing the calculus. Was me pulling out all of these investigations that were going on against my companies, what fines he would have paid? What is a greater damage here? Lifelong brand.
So see, here's the thing that I disagree with them on, is they think it's more about his companies, and I think it's more about the reduction of regulations on his star-based city. I firmly believe that the majority of these things have very little to do with the continued gathering of wealth, and it has a lot more to do with all of these techno oligarchs getting reduced regulations and getting to jump the line to be at the head of AI and technology.
Damage and his stock tumbling and everybody boycotting his brands worldwide, other countries refusing to put Starlink in their countries? Or would it have been better?
I did hear that the South African president was considering whether or not to allow Elon Musk to follow through with doing the Starlink shit there. And that does feel like Elon Musk. I think he was there, right? He was in the meeting with the South African guy. It feels like, once again, like I said, Elon Musk did not pull back. Elon Musk is still giving money. He's just acting as though he didn't, because they were saying they don't want Starlink there. And now all of a sudden the South African guy is going, well, maybe it can happen.
For him to have just paid the fines. And I think probably his board of directors on his publicly held companies are telling him this was not worth it. And in any other company on the planet, he would have been fired. But here's the same interview, and this is where he just completely starts spiraling out of control. Watch this.
Not otherwise. And so now I'm in this absurd situation where I was born in South Africa but cannot get a license to operate in Starlink because I'm not black.
Well, it looks like that's about
right
it looks like that
right to you?
Looks like that's about to change.
I just asked you a question. Please answer. Does that seem right to you?
Well, those rules were designed to bring.
Yeah, doesn't it 7% of the population own something like 83% of all the like land or something? Isn't that why? Like, this is the one thing I think that there's a lot of shit that I will disagree with based on certain arguments that somebody like Elon Musk would have. But in the case of South Africa, literally 7% of the population owns something like 73 or 83% of all the land and all the businesses. That's insane. This isn't like some kind of argument that these people worked their asses off and they've rightfully gained this land in these businesses. I mean, we're talking about fucking apartheid. There is a need for balancing. Now, obviously, if there was a white genocide going on in South Africa, that would be wrong. But saying we're not going to allow the continuation of rich, powerful white people coming to South Africa and getting to use these contracts when we could instead open it up to people within our culture that still live here, that are trying to build their business. I mean, it's literally what the fuck Trump is about. Trump's about America first. If this was a conversation where somebody was saying there is an internet company from outside of America that wants to be able to now dominate the internet market within this country, their argument would be they're not an American company, therefore they don't get to do it. How is this not hypocritical? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay.
Those rules were designed to bring about an era of more economic equality in South Africa. And it looks like the government has found a way around those rules for you.
96%. Jesus.
I'll ask you a question.
This is your interview. Everyone wants to hear from you.
Ask your question. Yes or no?
Not
Racist
for me.
laws, yes or no?
Not for me to answer. I have got a question for you about your government work and the amount of savings.
Why do you like racist
Dude, why is he crashing out? This is like not even that hard of an interview.
laws?
This is not for me to answer.
Dude, the whole fucking crowd's laughing at him. I bet he thinks they're laughing with him.
Come on.
Yes, it is.
So this is, anytime the majority of us face accountability or rules or regulations in our life, we don't get to have a public fit like this and buy our way out of it. And the world has basically been set up for Elon Musk to excel. The American government, under even Democratic presidents, has had some massive flaws in it that we have 100%. Aided and abetted the man to this much unregulated wealth that then he is able to ascend to basically being a co-president that has dismantled safety measures built into our government like FAA. Like the fact that this man politicized air traffic control is a damning autopsy on where the United States of America is as our psyche, that he's politicized the air traffic control. And when you hear reports of whistleblowers within the FAA, they are saying, do not fly right now. In Newark, for example, we're supposed to have 30 to 40 air traffic controllers. We have 20 to 30. But this titty baby is sitting there upset out of all the countries in the world that he can't have Starlink in South Africa that is trying to reconcile its horrific apartheid past. And
I don't see how that's not just like fucking common sense.
And honor black business leaders. And that's what the people want. They're a majority black nation. But he can't ever play by the rules. And this is a problem right now globally that he's inserting himself into the United States and all this DEI stuff. And whether you like DEI or not, we live in a multicultural society. And it's been easier for you and me to ascend to these microphones than it is for a black woman to do so. And in South Africa, the whole system has been rigged for white men, but it's just not enough for him. He always, always, always wants to have his way. And when he doesn't get his way, he has to pitch a fit. He is the biggest
child. He is a child. He is the biggest fucking child. I mean, look, you guys remember.
It's like legalized comedy.
Yeah. It didn't work. He tried playing this like buffoonish character, this like meme of himself, and even for MAGA, it was too much. Like, if you're too big of a buffoon for MAGA, if you're too immature and childish for MAGA, dude, you got nowhere else to go with that. Elon Musk is going to be a very lonely person, and eventually he's going to turn into... You guys remember that guy from Grandma's Boy? You guys remember Grandma's Boy? This one's probably going to get me a dispute, but we're going to do it. Here we go. Is that his name, JP? Is it this? Yeah, here you go.
Take care, JP. Please sit on my face.
That was not appropriate.
That's Elon Musk right there. That's what Elon Musk is going to turn into. I mean, he might just be it now, but that's what he's going to turn into.
Titty baby, and I agree with you. He cannot survive on a meritocracy. He has to be the victim, and everybody's against him. When in reality, he's taking the influence of the United States, and Trump is allowing him to use it to put Starlink in other countries. This man wants an advantage in every situation. It is absolutely abhorrent how arrogant he is.
And I think a larger questions that Americans are going to have to address is how not just Republicans, but a lot of people have enabled the evil deeds of billionaires and corporations.
And it was, once again, I said this when I was over on the political drain. If you think about it, Donald Trump if it wasn't for him, and you guys know this, you guys have been following me for a while. I've been saying this for the last year and a half, that Donald Trump has always been the foot in the door for these billionaires. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, no one would vote for J.D. Vance. None of these MAGA people would vote for J.D. Vance. None of these MAGA people would support Zuckerberg or Bezos or Andreessen or Peter Thiel or Elon Musk. They wouldn't support any of those people. The foot through the door was Donald Trump. If you're Elon Musk and you've ruined your chance right now to do what you wanted to do, then you have ruined a golden opportunity. Because Donald Trump is like a once-in-a-lifetime type of character for these people. They don't like billionaires. They just like billionaires now because Donald Trump told them they should like billionaires. It's fucking nuts.
But a lot of press is how not just Republicans, but a lot of people have enabled the evil deeds of billionaires and corporate greed. And that is a reconciling that I hope the Democratic Party jumps on in their message.
Yeah, and so they're right with that. And that's why I think Bernie is so important right now, is because that's the message that needs to be the most important message for the left, is that right now we're going down this rabbit hole, this idea of it's more important to have rich people that get to do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they troll people, as long as they own the left, and they get to do whatever. And then in exchange for them doing this, then the billionaires get to have less regulations and do whatever they want with their toys. Like the left, if the left doesn't like get on this and actually like go after this particular subject, then like I said, then there is going to be a problem 4 years from now.
Messaging, because there is a massive billionaire backlash. If you look at Silicon Valley, they were notoriously liberal and embraced climate change and facts. Well, then they started making a lot of money. And when you have a big company like that, the government puts consumer protections in place, algorithms, fact checking, etc. Well, they saw that as harmful to their profits. So then all of a sudden, what did...
But see, I'm going to disagree with her again here. They continue to say profits. I don't think that these people, like, they have money and they will continue to have money. You guys know, what was that girl's name that they made the Netflix about, that she claimed to be somebody else, like a German princess or something like that? And then she just went to jail. And then, like, she still has this status within these people, right? It's like this really weird thing about rich people is once you're in and you know the right people and you'll do the right things for those people, you're never out. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump can go bankrupt over and over again. Donald Trump can fucking practically be on death's door as far as his wealth goes. It doesn't matter. There'll always be somebody that he's connected to that will pick him up and bring him back in. I think it is a serious flaw in the left wing's logic that they think this is just for money, that this is just for profit. This is because we are on the cusp of a singularity. We are on the cusp of technological advancement that has not been seen and will never, ever be seen again. Like, once we go over the precipice of what AI can do for this society, there's going to be a moment that really does decide the future of humanity. And it's not going to be about money that determines that. It's going to be about who gets there first. And that's what all of these people are fighting for right now. All of these people, whether it's Mark Andreessen, Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, or any of the other people across the world in these foreign countries, every one of them is currently racing to be the number one person to get to that singularity before everybody else does. Because if they do, they have the possibility of manipulating where this world goes from there. And, you know, like, Like I said, I've said this before. People want to say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, whatever. They say it. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Read the fucking books. Read the books that people like Nick Land, his PDF on fucking the Dark Enlightenment. Read the books that like Curtis Yarvin, Peter Thiel, all of these guys are reading. They're all the same. Techno-feudalism is what they want. They want fiefdoms that they get to be in control of. And in my opinion is that multiples of these people will end up getting a hold and getting ahead of each other. And that they'll just have to split a lot of this territory up into, like I said, fiefdoms. And that's techno-feudalism.
They do. Money corrupted them. Power corrupted them, and it wasn't enough. Their liberalism and their embrace of facts was only contingent upon their ability to have unlimited power and unlimited funds.
What are we going to do about it? That's actually a really good question, Angela. And I have thought about that. And here's the thing. You can't stop the march of this technology, right? Like, large language models as they currently exist and as has already been seen a couple times with how they've gotten a bit out of control are not going to stop. One, people don't want it to. When you say something like, what if I can make your pet immortal? People, they take that bait. They're like, oh, okay, well, that's a good use of this technology. You know, forgetting the fact that obviously there'd be a lot of other things that technology would be used for in the wrong hands. So, you know, when I say poor people, I mean all of us that are middle class or below, because that really is where it's at now. Poor people want a bone. They want something to think about to make their lives better. They want to have hope and faith that things are going to get better. So they're going to sell this technology to us, and we are going to buy it wholesale. So the real question is what do you do about that? And I think that answer really comes down to whether or not one of two things is true. If it is true that currently our system is not rigged, that currently our system is still safe and trustworthy, then people need to wake the fuck up to what is about to happen, and they need to educate themselves and those around them and speak out, and they need to vote for politicians that have their best interest in mind and get those people into power. And that can start happening with the midterms next year. Now, on the other hand, if we've advanced past that and we are now fully on this path to the techno-oligarchs, whether through Trump or J.D. Vance or through somebody on the Democratic side, are going to get their way, and this is the reality of where we're going, then I'll be honest with you, it's time to start fucking building your own wall. It's time to start fucking filling your pantry with food. It's time to start figuring out how you can exist without the help of whoever that government is going to be. And I know that might sound like fucking super negative, it might be like scary, but I do think you have to be positive about the future while preparing for the worst case scenario. I think that's important. I think that people should recognize that if we get to a point where these techno oligarchs get to literally turn this country into their own private fiefdoms, there's not going to be a lot of fighting back. It's going to be very difficult, and this is going to turn into some fucking movie shit. You know? You guys have seen enough movies. You watch Star Wars. You've seen The Matrix. Like fucking, as insane as it sounds, I think that you should take the actions that are best suited to each individual person, but I think that two actions that every person should take is, one, hope for the best, educate people, speak out, vote in your own interests, and two, prepare for the worst, and that is get off your ass, stop staring at fucking TikTok all day, go touch some fucking grass, mend some relationships with the people around you that you know are still safe and still trustworthy, and then find a way to fucking build communities that are going to last regardless of what's going to happen. I mean, that's all I got. Yeah, I'm talking about the Dark Enlightenment. What's up, DJ? Resist, reclaim, remove, restructure. It's a long path, guys. It's a long fucking path back to any type of sanity if it goes the wrong route or the wrong person gets in charge. It goes the wrong fucking way. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hide inside the store. We're gonna build a wall around the store. Jesus Christ. Later, Bucket. I appreciate you, Bucket. All right.
And this is something that has to start from the grassroots, that we value consumer safety over billionaires having the ability to use their money for nefarious means. Next up, we have Musk continuing his whining campaign on CNBC.
My question is more about your work at Doge, for example. Was that worth it? You know, to the extent you are now, Elon, you were a somewhat divisive figure 2 years ago, but now you really are. I mean, there are people who love you, but there are a lot of people who dislike you, some of whom were your customers. And I wonder, was it worth the undertaking at Doge and everything else that you've done and how outspoken you've been in terms of the things you believe in to antagonize so many potential buyers and or users of things like a robo-taxi?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at...
It's so funny he calls other people NPCs and then just repeats the same shit over and over again that everybody in his echo chamber repeats. He just regurgitates the same shit.
Make you believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example.
Okay. Lie number one there is that legacy media engages in propaganda that benefits the left. Right. That is the biggest lie.
Literally, after Joe Biden's bad debate performance, it was like 24/7 coverage of Joe Biden's cognitive decline. It didn't stop until Joe Biden bowed out of the race.
Legacy media
that, I don't think
barely goes after Trump. Legacy media right now, if you look at CNN, is on some ridiculous bend over about a guy who isn't even president anymore, didn't seek a second term, and has cancer.
There you go.
Meanwhile,
exactly.
Musk is doing illegal acts within the United States government. But secondly, you are a Nazi. Right. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Okay, so Canada has completely had it with the United States of America, and they have been boycotting travel to the United States. And it has been deepening and deepening, and the press is really starting to cover.
Okay. We need to work with the IHIP ladies on their commercial transition. We need to talk to them about maybe seeing Trey Crowder, or maybe who else is good. There's a couple other people that are pretty good at it.
Qualified pro-Nazi Verish headline right here. Verified pro-Nazi X accounts flourish under Elon Musk. An ABC News review identified 150 verified premium accounts that have posted or amplified pro-Nazi content. So this was something that Jack Dorsey, the former owner of Twitter, didn't allow on the platform. These accounts were banned. You couldn't be a Nazi on his platform. Elon Musk didn't like that. So he bought the platform, and then the Nazis flooded in. But you just have to always, always, always remember what your eyes show you, and believe your eyes and believe facts, and don't believe the real propaganda.
The thing about the X thing is that's 100% what they want for the country, right? They want their whole point of view being that free speech is absolute, because when you have people that have these like really like divisive ideologies, it allows people like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel to better manipulate them. So one of the things that me and Doug were talking about was Doug was pointing out in Tennessee how there's this white supremacist culture where there's like an entire city of these people, and they keep black people from living there or minorities from living there. And, you know, somebody said, do you think that the Project 2025 people are going to clash with the techno oligarchy people? And I said no, because they have the same ideas. Maybe one day, eventually, they will, but right now, pretty much what they're saying is like, you can be Handmaid's Tale, you just have to do that in your fiefdom. Okay, we're gonna experiment on humans and genetics and use CRISPR and stuff in this fiefdom, and then if you want to be the super white supremacist people, then you have to go to the Tennessee fiefdom, right? And that's kind of how Twitter is broken into. Twitter, the algorithm works in this way that it keeps people within whatever element they actively participate. And that's the same thing that they hope for the country, is that they can put these people into these fiefdoms that have like-minded people, but that also hate the other fiefdoms, right? Like, that's very important to them. And so I think when she's talking about Elon Musk buying X, it's actually also pointing to what you could term as being an experiment for the future of America on X.
Propaganda full of just the biggest misfits imaginable. I mean, idiotic beyond the pale. But look at this. Never forget that this is what this man did back to back. And I want you to look at his mouth. I want you to look at how he's like grinding his teeth.
It was a salute, dude. Like, you can say one of two things with this. A, he was trolling and intentionally did it, or B, he's a Nazi. Those are the only two things that are even in the realm of fucking possibility. This is no fucking my heart goes out to you. It is either A, he did this shit on purpose and wanted to troll people and make people upset because he's a fucking child, or B, he's a Nazi. Currently, I believe the majority of people believe B, he's a Nazi.
Later tried to spin this that he was showing love. Look at the grimace. Look at all the facial muscles that it takes to show that. Furthermore, he meets with the far-right German party, IDF, in between amplifying all of these Nazi.
Oh, Pinkerbell. Curtis Yarvin and James Lindsay? Oh, I have to look at that. I'll have to check that out. Because it's like any autocracy, right? It's always going to turn in on itself. I got to look at that.
Accounts retweeting these Nazi accounts, but he meets with them and says, get over your past. Get over Nazi Germany's past. And that's what they want everybody to do. Don't think about what happened in Nazi Germany. Don't think about that, because that's what we're planning on doing. Right. I mean, Kristi Noem, under this administration, has shipped 50 people who came to this country legally to a concentration camp in El Salvador, and she doesn't even know what habeas corpus is, and is face planting all over the place. So this is dire. I don't know if he's going to be completely out of Trump's orbit, because he always seems to snake his way in. But what's your take on that, Pumps?
Number one, my biggest take is, if you are going to sit there and act like they're making you out to be a Nazi and you're not, you are not living in reality. You are solely responsible for the narrative that surrounds you, Elon Musk.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think he might, the Doge appointment might be gone. He bought and paid for Donald Trump. He bought and paid for him for a reason. And I do not think that he is just going to fade into the twilight. I think he likes the power too much. And I think he wants more from the U.S. government, and Donald Trump's willing to give it.
Yeah, right now, Donald Trump will give it to him. I don't think that if J.D. Vance gets in, that Elon Musk will have as much of a chance, because I don't, like I said, at one point or another, they are all going to compete with each other. So Peter Thiel, I believe, has the most access to J.D. Vance by far, because of his huge donations to his campaigns and his connection between him and Curtis Yarvin. So I think in the ultimate equation, I think Elon Musk understands that he's the odd man out. He's the third wheel. And I think that he saw in Donald Trump a chance to be able to buy his way into a potential position to be able to do something before it was too late. And I think that he believes now, because he's got kind of like this sad look, right? Like this sad shit going, very sad sack energy going on. And I think it's because I think he thought he had something good going with Trump. I think that he thought that he was going to be able to get these huge connections. I think he still will, because Trump is one of these guys that pushes somebody like Elon Musk off, but then turns around and tries to give him deals with the South African president, or tries to hook him up with deals with the missile defense system. Because Trump, if he thinks that he doesn't love him anymore, then he gets in his feels and he wants him to come back. Come back, Elon. I'll give you something.
Yeah, but I wonder what happens with and I think this is something that's going to play out with the MAGA regime and capitalism. So you have
Till and Musk or PayPal. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I understand that's true, the PayPal mafia. But at one point or another, the nerds are going to turn on each other. And Musk and Till are friends, but there's only going to be so much room. Like I said, I think that they'll agree to split the United States. I think that Till and Musk will be able to come to some kind of agreement as to who gets to do what. But I also think that Peter Thiel will want to be the number one dude. And his company, Palantir, being what it is for data mining information and algorithms and stuff like that, is kind of set up in the perfect way for him to be, Palantir is kind of his little finger, like, to use a Game of Thrones reference. Palantir is like his information hub. And Elon Musk, probably has a little more to do with an ability to mine people's data through like Starlink, right? But I think that Peter Thiel holds, to quote Donald Trump, I think that Peter Thiel holds the better hand of cards than Elon Musk does.
RFK Jr. that's going after pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies are a huge part of our economy, good, bad, and different. I mean, I think pharmaceutical companies are inherently evil. Just look at the Sackler family and the opioid crisis. But
100%.
Think about Elon Musk shareholders juxtaposing with what he's doing, all of these activities with Donald Trump. They only benefit Musk and on a personal level. Now they're damaging his brand's ability to have sustainable longevity in the economy. And I think we're going to see these things start to clash big time. The big business and then Trump's myopic view for only a few, because even in Trump's form of oligarchy, it leaves out hundreds of thousands of other businesses that don't get the benefit that only the...
Yeah, Trump doesn't want oligarchy. Trump wants monarchy. So that's why I've said this from the beginning since he got elected. I said the real hope is that they all turn on each other, because Trump doesn't want oligarchy. Trump wants monarchy. Trump wants to be the main dude in charge. He wants to be able to make decisions without having to do any work. He wants to be a lazy king. He doesn't want to feel like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or any of these other billionaires actually have one up on him. He wants to feel as though they're his vassals. And like I said, I don't think that maybe Elon Musk would be okay with that, but I don't think the rest of them, I don't think that the Bezos, the Peter Thiel, the Mark Andreessens of the world, I don't think those guys are going to be... my personal opinion is Peter Thiel is the main villain in this arc. I think that people don't see Peter Thiel as often, and so they discount him. But I think 100% that Peter Thiel is the real issue facing America right now.
The select few get, and it's important to point out, many of the select few that the Trump regime favors aren't even Americans.
Exactly.
Elon Musk, and then this whole circle jerk that just happened in the Middle East. And so it always seemed...
By the way, Palantir was there in the Middle East. Palantir and BlackRock both had representatives. The CEO from Palantir was over there in the Middle East.
That Trump is favoring foreigners over Americans, and he's going to neglect a lot of our S&P 500s, which is why I'm always calling on these CEOs to speak out against these distinct abuses of power. All right, that's all we have for today, and we'll see you all later.
Yeah, they ain't wrong. I mean, I disagree with some of this stuff because I think, like I said, I think too many people are focused a little bit too much on the wealth portion of all this and not enough on the control portion of all this. But for the most part, like, I agree with a lot of what they're saying there. Yeah. All right. Gnome Dome agreed with me. Well, let's go up here and let's talk to people. Let's see what people are saying. Gnome Dome agrees with me, so I'm right, guys. I win. Trump was talking to the tribal minister of Africa, and he was not the least pleased. Well, I'm sure after what happened with the president of South Africa, that probably didn't go over well. Till kicked out Musk from PayPal, and Musk kicked out, the CEO, right, while he was there, and took over as the CEO and stuff. And Musk, let's just say this, it's always ironic how low T all of these supposedly masculine, manly dudes are. Like, if you want to be honest, like, Elon Musk is a very low T individual. He's not a guy that is going to bully and roughhouse his way to the top. He's never going to, like, manhandle a bunch of people. He don't have it in him. I mean, he's got a big, awkward ass frame, and if he falls on somebody, 100% he could probably, like, pin them to the ground and suffocate them. But that's his special move, right? I am the walrus. He just fucking comes towards them and just falls on them. There's a potential that your life is in jeopardy if Elon Musk falls on you, because he's definitely top heavy. But other than that, he's the least masculine dude that has ever existed. So when you talk about him, or you talk about Peter Thiel, you talk about any of these guys, the guy from the CEO from Palantir, that fucking guy, you look at that guy, he's the goofiest fucking looking human being. Curtis Yarvin, same thing. All of them. The goofiest fucking people. So there is a real, like, there's a focal point that is happening right now with all of these people. And it feels like, I don't know what's happening in the rest of the world, because I don't pay enough attention. I do know some of the things that are going on outside the U.S., but I don't pay enough attention to what's going on outside the U.S. other than, say, like the Ukraine-Russia conflict or Israel-Hamas conflict. But it seems like this is a focal point here in America. And I think that's because America has been at the forefront of AI and technology. Our military is the most technologically advanced military in the world. It feels like the main focal point right now is happening here in America for this struggle for power. But eventually you're going to have different factions that are going to split off from all this. One of the things I will say is that I actually still have a lot of hope, a lot of faith in American democracy. I still do think that the system can work its way out if people will just, like, talk about it and like point out what the fuck is going on. But when you have these billionaire oligarchs that are obviously making this, like, attempt to be the first to get a hold of the one power. They like the Lord of the Rings shit, right? They all want the one ring. I'm sure there's some kind of weird shit to do with that too. And currently they're all kind of wrestling over it with Donald Trump. And you see JD Vance kind of has this, like, quiet confidence about him being the dude, right? But there's still so many other factors when you talk about the military. You talk about people in positions of power. Somebody like Pete Hegseth that, probably thinks a lot about himself being in charge of the military. Somebody that, somebody like Trump, has a McDonald's-induced heart attack. And this is what happens. When empires fall, you have all these competing factions that believe they should be the ones that take over. And it's going to be messy. And I do believe that a big faction, and that's probably the strongest faction out of all these people, is probably the techno-oligarchs with the Project 2025 people, because I think that they can find common ground in doing what they want to in America. It's super crazy. I do believe that we can rebuild. I believe that the outcome will be a positive outcome. I believe in democracy. I believe in the people. What's happening, Redonk? The Weave. A spoke on the wheel. Have you been watching The Wheel of Time, Redonk? Have you been watching The Wheel of Time? I actually got that right here. Wheel of Time. For those of you who are Wheel of Time fans. Got all the books right here, including the later ones. The later ones. Is it too shiny? Probably too shiny. There you go. Written by Brandon Sanderson after Robert Jordan passed away. All right, here you go. Let's watch Bernie. Oh, I gotta push my buttons. There we go. Let's watch Bernie. Let's watch Bernie talk to Andrew Schulz. It's always so strange to watch Bernie or Pete Buttigieg talk to these guys and then be like, wow, that's crazy. We didn't know that. It's fucking mind-numbing. But it's also how I feel. And that's why I think people like Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg are actually so important right now, is because they can talk to these bros and get respect from them that makes them actually kind of be like, well, maybe I am wrong. Like I said, watch the video when it comes out, if it comes out, that I made of the Jordan Klepper video talking to the Gen Z Trump supporters. Because it really does say a lot about why certain people voted for Trump, that sometimes the left tries to think too hard. Was it because of transgender issues? Was it because of the economy? Was it because of immigration? And at least when it comes to a lot of the young people, it just straight up comes down to, we just want to have fun, bro. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, this sexual assault stuff happening on campuses, the rules are too tight. It's fucking terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But it's fucking young, dumb, and full of cum, dude. It's a bunch of dudes that are like, yeah, Bryce Mitchell said some shit about Hitler, and that was fucked up. Hitler's bad, dude, but I want Bryce Mitchell to win tonight, bro. It's what the fuck is wrong with you guys? I think it's CTE. I'm pretty sure it's brain injuries. But anyways, let's watch Bernie Sanders talking to Andrew Schulz.
The issue is democracy versus billionaires being able to spend unlimited sums of money. Supreme Court went with that. And then the form it took was what's called a super PAC.
It is duplicitous. You're undermining the people, and that's where you remove, wow.
That's a very good point.
Fucking Andrew Schulz. Wow.
So Bernie Sanders has been making the rounds on Joe Rogan adjacent podcasts, including Theo Vaughn, Lex Friedman, and now Andrew Schulz. And even though these podcast hosts try to present themselves as centrists, they effectively produce right-wing shows either by platforming right-wing extremists and not pushing back, or by engaging in both sidesism and false equivalences that always benefit Trump and the Republicans. So wittingly or unwittingly, these podcasts end up pushing their audiences towards the right, albeit to varying degrees. So the question is, how do people in the center and left of center address this? There's conversations about whether or not Democrats should have their own version of Joe Rogan. And I think that that's a different conversation for a different day. But
my whole point of view with the Joe Rogan thing is, it's not that they need a Joe Rogan. It's that the left needs somebody that humanizes the candidates. The ability to sit down with a person and have a conversation and remind people that all of these politicians are just people just like you are, and kind of give them a little bit of time to talk about themselves and their goals and what they want to complete during their time or their tenure. That's really what it's about. It's about that the left conducts every conversation like it's an interview. Every conversation with a left-wing person is, I have these pre-made questions that you guys can answer, and we're gonna do it in a really quick format. The girl running for Illinois Congress that used to work for Vice, Kat. I always mess up her last name, so I'm not gonna say it. I reached out to her to try to get her to do an interview with me, and their response, her team's response, was, we can give you 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. 10 minutes is not enough to like get to know a person, to talk to them, to help people to understand who they are. And since then, they have not responded to anything that I've said after that. And it's kind of funny because, and this is not to throw shade on Kat, because I respect the hustle. I like what she's doing. But it is kind of funny that you have this young person that's saying the left is fucking up by not doing these certain things, and then is doing the same thing that the left does. So, you know, hopefully she'll correct that, because the left does need somebody that doesn't just interview people. They need somebody that knows how to talk to people and humanize them. That's what I think the left needs as far as a Joe Rogan goes.
A lot of people seemingly have chosen to go on these shows and just provide their audiences with an alternative to the right-wing politics that they've been fed. That's what Pete Buttigieg has been doing recently, and it's what Bernie Sanders does all the time as well. I think that it makes sense to infiltrate their echo chambers and try to get their audiences to seek out politics that's more empathetic and ideally anti-capitalist. Now, I'm not expecting Pete Buttigieg to push anti-capitalism, but in this episode with Andrew Schulz, I think Bernie Sanders does a good job at planting some seeds. And the reception from Andrew Schulz's audience kind of demonstrates that the strategy is indeed successful. Although, I think that there are some limitations, which we'll talk about. But first, let's talk about the positives here, because Bernie Sanders explained how oligarchs like Elon Musk are basically able to run the country by buying off politicians. And a lot of Americans, they have a sense that money in politics is an issue, but I don't think that they're able to articulate how.
Dude, MAGA Republicans did nothing but send me fucking messages about BlackRock and George Soros and billionaires being involved and dark money, and then turned right around and were like, Elon Musk is fucking dope.
With much specificity, and Bernie Sanders provides this audience with a very digestible explanation with two main focal points: Citizens United and their super PACs.
The Supreme Court ruled that billionaires, that advertising is freedom of speech, and you can't limit my speech. So if I want to spend $100 million on TV ads, I have the right to do it. They say, you're right. So the issue is democracy versus billionaires being able to spend unlimited sums of money. Supreme Court went with that. And then
Yeah, he's talking about Citizens United. And the answer, in my opinion, to that is that you should... This is our government. We are supposed to be the customers in this equation, and we pay for a service, which is our government, to run the country. I believe that our tax money should be used to finance, in my opinion, 4 parties. I believe there should be 4 parties with 4 representatives. I believe that there should be primaries for all 4 of those, and I believe that all those candidates should have a right to be on a debate stage. There should be some type of qualifications. Maybe you have to fucking take a test or something to be able to prove that you're mentally capable to do the fucking job of the President of the United States. But there should be some type of limitation on who can be there, as long as that limitation is just and fair. And then our tax money should pay for debate time, and it should pay for commercial time. And it should be fair. It should be across the board. This idea that Citizens United has created, that if you're a billionaire, you should be able to pay for $100 million worth of commercials, while this other person has to depend on how much ever money that they can get from billionaires to pay for their commercials. That's ridiculous. You're never going to have anything but rich people as politicians, not to mention a bunch of other hurdles. But that's, in my opinion, the beginning of that.
Form it took was what's called a super PAC. You start an organization, Americans for Freedom, okay? And billionaires can put as much money as they want into that. That organization then runs ads on television. It does political stuff. That's what it's about. So bottom line, though, most importantly, is if you are a billionaire, you can put as much money as you want into a super PAC. And in Musk's case, he spent $270 million to help Donald Trump get elected president. Do Democrats have billionaires putting money into super PACs? Absolutely. All right. What does that mean in real life? This is what it means. Right now, we're dealing with a bill called the Reconciliation Bill. It's a fancy Washington term for a very big bill, which will have a lot of stuff in it. In any case, if a Republican stands up and says, you know what, in the House of Representatives, I don't like this bill because, it's giving tax breaks to very wealthy people and it's going to cut Medicaid and cut nutrition programs. It's a bad bill. What do you think happens the day after that Republican stands up and says he opposes it?
Those super PACs organize and...
Well, they shouldn't even. They should already know this, but they don't because they have TDS, because they have Trump derangement syndrome. They should know this without him having to explain this to them or ask them the question, because Donald Trump literally says, if you don't pass my agenda, we will have you primaried. Elon Musk will have you primaried. And once again, these people either 100% do not listen to their own figureheads talk and give speeches or answer questions, or they play the mental gymnastics that having Trump derangement syndrome actually does do, that they do, and they make it, the Harlem versus Harvard thing. Oh, no, he didn't say that. You're just being crazy. You're the one with Trump derangement syndrome. They make it right in their own head, whatever crazy shit these people do. It's one or the other.
And the day
after that Republican stands up and says he opposes it.
Those super PACs organize and they primary out those politicians.
Exactly.
Now, the commodification of our democracy didn't start with Citizens United, but what it did do is open the floodgates. And it's to the point where Americans are no longer able to even compete with the oligarchs who are dumping millions and millions of dollars into these elections. More than 10 years ago, a Princeton study found that regular working class Americans have a statistically insignificant impact on policy outcomes compared to elites and special interests, which makes sense in this climate because regular Americans, they might be able to vote. So we live in a democracy in that sense, sure. But that's the beginning and end of their influence on politics. They don't have the money to hire lobbyists. Lobbyists that exist, they disproportionately lobby on behalf of the interests of wealthy people. Right? So if lobbyists are constantly pressuring politicians to do what they want, which often hurts working class Americans, and they supplement their lobbying with bribes in the form of campaign contributions, the result is what we have now, where rich people always get what they want and everyone else gets nothing. And things have...
Hi, tired. There you go.
only gotten worse since that study was published. We've reached the point now where politicians are committing atrocities because they're either being bankrolled by the corporations or governments benefiting from said atrocities, or they feel like they'd be targeted for opposing it, as was the case with Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. And since they didn't back down, they were challenged and they lost their seats in Congress. The clearest example of this is AIPAC, which funds politicians in both parties to support Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Bernie Sanders is going to explain in this next clip how organizations like AIPAC perpetuate this system, and he also talks about how they sanitize their image. And it seemingly has led to a type of light bulb moment for Andrew Schulz in particular. So let's watch and then we'll discuss.
I introduced legislation to say we're going to block the sale of certain military weaponry to Israel. I got 15 Democrats to support me. I got 0 Republicans. Why do you think more Democrats didn't support me? Because if Democrats support me, they will have to take on AIPAC. You mentioned Jamal Bowman.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
What'd they spend, like 15 or 20 million to get him out of there? Exactly. This is up in Westchester, too.
You got it.
Okay.
Cori Bush in Missouri, St. Louis, was defeated. A woman in the state of Washington, Pramila Jayapal's sister ran. So if you want to speak out against Netanyahu's government and oppose military sales, AIPAC, which is also funded by billionaires who support both Democrats and Republicans,
so
we'll go after.
How can they do this effectively? Like, how can they sway a vote if the people don't support the idea?
You know how you do it?
How?
This is rather amazing. Great question. You don't talk about the issue. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm 99% sure I'm right, they didn't say one word about Israel.
Wow.
The argument was he's a bad Democrat or whatever the usual negative advertising. Didn't talk about Israel.
So this is quite interesting because if a group, like if a super PAC was honest about what they were raising against, for example, they spent that 20 million specifically defending their position on Israel, I wonder if we would be more amenable to that because that is the issue at hand, instead of using funding to make this person radioactive, which they might not exactly be, and undermining. It is duplicitous. You're undermining the people, and that's where you remove. Wow.
That's a very good point.
Bernie is absolutely correct. AIPAC spent a record-breaking $15 million to unseat Jamal Bowman, and their stooge, George Latimer, barely mentioned Israel at all on the campaign trail. He framed Jamal Bowman as the mirror image of Donald Trump and implied...
Yep, there he is. That's perfect. That is fucking spot on.
That extremism on both sides was really the reason why DC was so dysfunctional. And this example seemingly made it click for Andrew Schulz. You could almost see the light bulb go off over his head. But this right here is where you have to connect the dots for him, specifically his audience. See, if elites and interest groups hide their real agenda with an issue as serious as genocide, then you've got to think about the other ways that they're misleading the public. Perhaps when super PACs that run ads on behalf of Republicans tell you that immigrants and trans people are the cause of all of our country's problems, maybe you should question their motives there as well.
Exactly. It's fucking fear. It's fucking control. And it doesn't fucking just end up in one party or the other. I've said this before. Democrats and Republicans definitely disagree on values and value systems. I definitely lean much harder left than I ever will towards the right. And for good fucking reason. But the real war that is actually happening every fucking day in this country is those people that have hoarded all the resources, the ultra wealthy people, versus everyone else. That's the real fucking war. Because they are just looking to have as much control as they possibly can over you, so that way you can't speak out, so you can't speak up. So that way you're not an irritant to them. So you're not abrasive to them. You don't piss them off. Instead, you shut up and you build the robots like you're supposed to. And I think a lot of times the problem between the left and the right is that the left says something along the lines of, you can verify for your own happiness, your own education, your own knowledge, that the things that these people are telling you are incorrect, but you choose not to because instead you want to live with this base feeling of winning, because a good proportion of those people have never had a W. And they want to have one. And that's what I was saying, the young people voting for Donald Trump, they want to feel like they're winning. They want to feel like this guy he's owning the libs. They want to feel like all of these things that they feel deep down inside are true. And Donald Trump makes them feel like that by saying, I'll go out there and I'll do mean shit to these people and it'll make you feel better. And they're like, okay, all right, cool. And I think that on the left, you tell them that something is wrong with this or that, and if you're on the left, you need, 47 hours of research before you can come to a decision on it. And I think the reality of this situation is that it is going to take the people that aren't ultra wealthy, the people that are not currently hurting resources, finding common cause, common ground to get us out of this shit. And if you don't, then eventually I 100% believe we are going to be living in a techno-feudalistic society.
And ask yourself if they're also trying to hide their real agenda. See, sometimes you have to hold their hands and guide them to the most obvious conclusion, because they're not going to automatically connect the dots themselves. But to be clear, the goal is not to win over Andrew Schulz. The goal is to plant seeds with the audience to win them over. Because Andrew Schulz is not someone who is an honest actor, in my opinion. And I say that because he talks about how Democrats are out of touch with working class people, which is true, but he never has the same energy for Donald Trump and the Republican Party, who are gearing up to cut Medicaid, which means that millions of Americans would...
So what I think Mike's getting wrong here, and this is something that oftentimes happens on the left, is he's giving Andrew Schulz too much credit. Andrew Schulz is an idiot. He's not understanding something that is very key to why Trump supporters are who they are. He thinks that they legitimately recognize this flaw in their argument. They do not. They do not. Whether or not they are lying to themselves and have lied to themselves enough to make themselves feel confident about it, or whether or not they are completely unaware of it, they do not see this flaw in their argument. They believe they are correct. He is giving him too much credit when he says he doesn't think he's an honest actor. On the other side, my argument is, I do believe that he's an honest actor. I also believe he's honestly a fucking idiot.
Lose their health insurance, low-income Americans in particular. And I don't think that he's doing this on purpose per se. Frankly, I think that he's a simpleton who bases his politics on vibes.
Okay, Mike.
And the only issue that really seems to galvanize him is pussy. For example, in 2021, he thought that Trump was a pussy for throwing a tantrum about the 2020 election. But by 2024, he supported Trump because Trump gets pussy, I guess.
When I was younger, like, Democrats were cool. They were getting their dick sucked in the...
But that is, if, like I said, watch that Jordan Klepper video. That is what these people voted for. Once again, you're giving way too much credit to this guy that he should, he's going to vote based off of actual policies or things that are happening. He's only voting on what makes him feel good. That's it.
The office, they were like, right? They were like supportive of like hip hop music. They said, do whatever you want.
Later, tired. Good luck, my friend.
Like, we don't want to be in your bedroom. They were cool with gay people. Like, it was cool to be a Democrat.
Tired.
Now, conservatives got 3 baby mamas. The president got 3 baby mamas. He's getting pussy left and right. Right? He's cool. He's the one saying, say whatever the fuck you want. So now conservatives have become Democrats. So I don't think I've changed. I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. So it's you want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want.
Yeah. So needless to say, I don't have a very high opinion of him. And I think that he's not qualified at all to say that anyone else is out of touch. This man doesn't know what issues affect working class people if he bases his own votes on who's getting pussy and which politicians are telling him that he can say what he wants. If you literally vote based on who you think is more cool as a 40-something-year-old man as opposed to policy, I don't think that you should be the one to accuse anyone else of being out of touch. You should look in the mirror. Furthermore, if it's the vibes that matter the most to you, if you want politicians to tell you that you can say whatever you want, then this moment from this same podcast should have forced Andrew Schulz to reconsider his support for Donald Trump.
There are people, as I'm sure you're familiar with, a young woman from Turkey, for God's sakes, was in Massachusetts, went to Tufts University. You remember that? Mm-hmm. This woman walks down the street, suddenly guys grab her with masks on, throw her into a van, take her to a detention center. Why? Because she wrote an op-ed critical of the war in Gaza.
Now, that came up at a later point in the podcast, but if Andrew Schulz were an honest actor who didn't know about that, but he genuinely did care about free speech, that issue alone should be the wake-up call that he needs to repudiate Donald Trump entirely. Will he do that? Probably not. Because another element that we don't often talk about is when you have a podcast and you start to bring on guests and you cultivate a particular audience that wants to hear certain things from you, you begin to worry that the gravy train is going to dry up if you start to question what your audience was primed to believe. So there's often this incentive that emerges once you cultivate a right-wing audience to not challenge their beliefs. And insofar as you do that, you let somebody else come on and talk about things that your audience might not want to hear because, at least you could say, I'm just letting them talk. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. But I don't think that Andrew Schulz has enough brain cells to actually make the connection between free speech and Rumeysa Ozturk, to be clear. Because, when people like him talk about free speech, they usually only mean that they want to be allowed to say slurs on social media without getting banned. So even though...
Like I said, the two main things that people like Andrew Schulz voted for was owning the libs, making them cry, and being able to say the word retard. That's it. That's the only thing that they care about. There's nothing deeper to this. And that's, like I said, I think that's the mistake of the left of overthinking. The mistake of the left of thinking like there's this, there's that. Oh, it could have been this, it could have been that. No, it's simple. And I know that it paints a really bad picture. It paints a potentially very disappointing and an unhopeful picture of the future of America. But this is who they are. They wanted the people that were mean to them to cry, and they want to be able to call those people retards. That's it. This isn't a lot of these people. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of these people aren't that complicated.
You know, he was personable and agreeable with Bernie Sanders. I don't think that Andrew Schulz is gettable. But again, that isn't the goal here, right? The goal here is for Bernie Sanders to win over people in his audience who are gettable, and they're gettable because most of them presumably...
I do think the one thing I will disagree with him on that is I do think it's actually important that he does win over Andrew Schulz, because I think when, say, Joe Rogan, right? Somebody like Joe Rogan, when you get him to agree, when you get him to say things that are conflicting with the beliefs of his audience and the person that you've now convinced them to like, I do believe that that has an impact on these people, because once again, I think they're a lot less complicated than people on the left want to believe. I think that their reasonings for why they believe the things that they believe are a lot less complicated than people on the left want to believe. I think that sometimes these people only believe the things they believe because Andrew Schulz does. I think that these people sometimes only believe the things that they believe because Joe Rogan does. And I think that's why, you know, I said this, Redonk gave me shit on election night saying that Joe Rogan, Trump going on Joe Rogan's podcast helped win an election. And I was like, steadfast. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. Because I was that person saying to myself, there's absolutely no way a logical, critically thinking human being would just decide to vote for a candidate because they went on your favorite podcaster's program. And he was right, and I was wrong.
Don't have coherent views on politics like the hosts. They probably have opinions on certain issues and follow politics here and there, but there's no underlying philosophy tying it all together, which is why they go back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. This is what a lot of Americans do, not just this audience. And what's interesting about this podcast is that all of the hosts told Bernie Sanders that they supported him in 2016, but they felt really disillusioned with the Democratic Party after they sabotaged.
Yep. Just literally talked about that on the Political Drain. I said one of the craziest parts about it is how the Bernie Sanders crowd, out of spite, voted for Trump because they hated what happened to Bernie. And that's the worst kind of villain you can become. A person that loves something because morally you thought it was the correct thing to love, and then because that person was betrayed, that you then betray your own values, and at the same time you are betraying that individual. So like it's insane, but it is true. I've had people that come in here that say no Bernie Sanders person voted for Trump. You're wrong. Everybody's wrong sometimes.
Him, and that feeling of disillusionment might have led them, as well as their viewers, down the path that they're on today. And I want to show you how Bernie Sanders addressed this.
We have a question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was the...
wow. Okay.
And see, this is why I like Bernie. People are like, he didn't stand up for himself. Bernie is a fucking man, okay? Bernie stood up and said, what they did to me was wrong, but Donald Trump is worse for this country than what they did to me. And that takes a real fucking strong person to be able to do that. Do you know how easy it would have been for Bernie to just walk right through that right-wing grifting door if he was that kind of human being? He didn't do it because he doesn't stand for that shit. And that's why I like Bernie. Is because he can sit there on that couch. He could have blamed it on the PACs. He could have. There's people on the left right now that are upset with him for saying this. He could have. He could have just blamed it on the PACs. These guys would have accepted it. They would have been happy with that. But he didn't. He said it was the Democratic establishment.
That was just, they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color. And
yeah, Troy actually pointed out something, too, that I have not pointed out. And that is the Bernie bros were angry. So were the RFK voters. The RFK voters that went to Trump as well for the same reasons. Because they felt like RFK was getting shorted in the stick. Him and his worm. Okay? And so they went over. I've said it before that there's things that the left does that instead of addressing the things, they tend to just push it off and act like it didn't happen. But that is disavowing the fact that, like, you did it, right? So it's like, if you didn't want RFK Jr. in the party or working with you, say Kamala Harris, then you need to explain why. You need to not just act like it didn't happen. I thought that working with somebody like Bernie Sanders after RFK Jr. started working with Donald Trump would have been a nice counterbalance for them. Yeah, we don't want to work with RFK Jr. because Bernie Sanders actually aligns a lot more with the things that we believe. That, in my opinion, that would have made a huge difference. Bernie, thank you for being over on Twitch, first of all, Han. Bernie stood up when the country needed him to gut the Patriot Act. He stood up, walked into the shitter, and hid. His non-vote caused the Patriot Act spying to continue. That is every politician that has ever lived up to this point, except for maybe Rand Paul. Rand Paul might have voted against it.
They create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media and all that stuff.
It's kind of interesting to that note.
But the thing about that, Han, the one thing I will say about that is that there is a fine line, and this is why I'm not a hardcore left-wing person. This is why a lot of people on the left would not agree with me, and this is why a lot of people on the right will not agree with me on this, is that there is a limited amount of authority that the government should have to monitor communications when there are legitimate threats to safety. That's why I like Bernie, is because Bernie isn't a person that just says, I'm just this person, so therefore I always vote this way. And I think that drives people fucking nuts, and that's why I drive people nuts. Oh, you're a centrist. 99% of the things that I believe are very much left-wing. But yes, on a couple things. I've said this before. One of the things that'll drive the left absolutely fucking dog shit, bat shit, dog shit crazy, whichever shit crazy, is my take on the Israel war. And that is that I think that Israel had the right to defend themselves after October 7th. I think that Joe Biden had a job as the leader of America to support their ally. And I think that when Israel took that shit too far and has done what they have done since that time, that Joe Biden should not have continued to support that, nor should have America should have. And people, that's centrist, that's both sides. No, it isn't. It's fucking logical. It's the way that the world works. We have this idea in our heads that you can just draw this moral line and that the rest of the world will just fucking deal with you drawing that moral line, but that's not quite how anything works. We do have obligations to our allies because it is very important that our allies understand that during their times of need will be for them, because when we need them, we want them to be there. Nothing is as simple as just saying he should have voted down the Patriot Act. There are so many things that go into that. And like I said, who was it? Fucking, God damn it. Platonic just commented on one of my videos because I said Douglas Murray in this video. Douglas Murray is a garbage-ass human being. Literally started the video by saying Douglas Murray is a garbage-ass human being. And then I went on to say that Douglas Murray was calling out Joe Rogan and doing a good job of it. And he was pissed at me because I was saying Douglas Murray did something good. He did. He called out Joe Rogan. Does that make Douglas Murray a good person? No, it fucking doesn't make Douglas Murray a good person. But does it make sense that what he did was the appropriate thing that all people should be doing? Yeah, it just so happens that time fucking Douglas Murray got it right. And this is why the conversations with me with people, I can't deal with people. Because there is a time where emotion should be the focal point. And then there are times where logic needs to take control. And the best thing that you can have in any life is a balance of both of those things. The ability to be passionate and react with passion when it's necessary, but also the ability to take a step back and apply critical thinking and logic to something that you don't completely fucking understand. I know that will piss off a lot of people, but that is how I feel.
Note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some.
Yeah, thank you, DJ. Me and DJ, we've been buddies for a long time for a reason. My right-wing friends think I'm a lefty, and my left-wing friends think I'm a righty. Does it mean I'm a centrist? I don't think it does. I think that everybody, anytime you disagree with either side, they want to push you onto the other side so that way they feel morally correct and saying that what you believe is the wrong thing to believe. I genuinely believe that. And like I said, I would say 98%, 99% of the time, I'm going to fall into the left-wing category. But I've told you guys before, I've had left-wing people come on here and tell me I'm a piece of shit, piece of human garbage. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, that's what you are. And then I've had a couple people call me centrist. Only a couple people call me a centrist.
Influence in the election. And they started to label us the podcast bros and said that we were... the
media and all that stuff of color and
wow. Super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was the
wow. Okay.
That was just they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color, and they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media and all that stuff.
It's kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does.
Yeah, hold on.
Is during this election,
a lot of young people. We had people of color and they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media. I'm going to give him
one more
what's
try.
Kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, not quite. Not quite. Now, I will say that I do not think it was a good idea for left-wing, for Kamala Harris to avoid these types of conversations. I do believe, if you look at what Pete Buttigieg did, and if you look at what Bernie Sanders is doing, that doing it in the correct way would have been a benefit to Kamala Harris's campaign. I think that Tim Walz would have probably been the perfect person for it. Send Tim Walz on these shows. He probably would have been perfect for it. He's a good dude. He's a nice guy. He probably would have these guys probably would have been like, you're actually pretty cool. He could have done it. He's a real human being. But I'm not going to sit here and act like you guys are misogynists. You guys are sexist. You guys are assholes. In fact, that's your form of comedy, and you say that you can't do it because of the left. So this denial that, they canceled me, bro. No, you admit to the fact that the shit that you do is so asshole-ish that there is a subsect of our society that's like, yeah, you shouldn't get to do that because it's too asshole-ish.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does. They run away. Look, again, I would hope that everybody who's watching the program is that we as a nation have got to end all forms of bigotry.
Yeah, yes.
That I start off as a basic assumption.
Unless it's to your close friends, right?
Yeah, whether it's racism or sexism, homophobia, or xenophobia, whatever it is. And liberal Democrats talk about that all the time. And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
Exactly.
You're gay, that's fine, who cares?
Yeah.
But what do you stand for?
Yeah.
Is every gay person brilliant and wonderful and great? No, of course not. Everybody's a human being.
Yeah.
So the issue is what you stand for, which gets you back to what we discussed earlier, class politics, in the sense of which side are you on? Are you going to stand with working families? Are you going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage or not? Are you going to fight to guarantee health care to all people or not? Are you going to demand that the wealthiest people start paying their fair share of taxes or not? Those are the issues. And no one cares what color you are, what your gender is, et cetera, et cetera.
First and foremost, working class, quote.
Yeah, I'm going to let Mike speak on this, but I'm just going to say this. There are assholes in all groups of people. There are black assholes, there are white assholes, there are gay assholes, there are straight assholes. And nobody gets a fucking pass, man. Like, that is a problem in our society. And you have seen it in certain places where people go, well, hey, you can't talk to this person because they are this. And it's like, well, that's not true. And that does cause conflict. And Bernie's right. Like, at the end of the day, that's why it is so hurtful to the left when a person that is gay speaks in defense of Donald Trump. Because they're like, hold on, we've been defending you. We've been standing up. We've been saying nobody gets to talk shit to you because you happen to be a protected class. And now you're talking shit about our people and you're praising the guy who's talked shit about you. And that's a trap. You got to treat people, when we talk about people being treated equally, that means treating people equally. That means we understand that there are assholes in every group of human beings. That being an asshole, being a misogynist, being a racist, being homophobic is not specific, though sometimes it seems like it's more prevalent. In certain types of people. It is something that we need to get past as a society, is that regardless of what class you are, what classification you are, there are assholes across the spectrum.
Bernie Bros and multimillionaire podcast hosts are not similar in any way, shape, or form. And the reason why they accused you of being right-wing, Andrew, is because you platformed fascist politicians like Donald Trump and helped to launder his reputation. So, suffice to say, I don't think that you were unfairly smeared. I think that the characterization given to you by them is fair, given your own words and actions. Exactly. As for Bernie Sanders, even though he's correct on the substance, he's right to say that Democratic Party elites do cynically weaponize identity politics. I don't think that he did a good job here in this portion of the podcast, given the type of audience that he was speaking to. Yes, Democrats weaponize identity politics, but there's a meaningful difference between the weaponization of identity politics and advocating for social and racial justice, which is important. To right-wingers,
But what Mike, what he should say here is, I mean, I guess he did say it. So, is that the left doesn't do a good job of explaining the difference between those two things. Sometimes the left has a really fucking hard time of pulling back that passion, which is appropriate. It's great to be passionate. Like I said, pulling back that passion and you know, hedging it with this ability to speak and say, social justice is incredibly important because of this, this, and this. People should be protected or in these protected classes because of these things. And they don't do that well sometimes. Instead, it's, you should just know this, and you don't because you're an idiot and you're a racist. And I think that Daryl Davis, that black man that converts Ku Klux Klan members, is probably one of the prime examples of this. And that he says when he sits down with these Klan members, they say like the most horrific, fucked up shit to him. Black people aren't as smart as white people. Black people are criminals. And he said he just lets them talk. And he lets them talk. And he lets them talk. And then when they're done talking, he says to them, you want to know something? I've never committed a crime. I don't even have a traffic ticket. And they go, oh, well, that's just, you're the anomaly. He goes, you want to know something? I have a college degree and I teach music. Oh, well, and he goes, one of the things is that I don't press them on anything. I let them speak all the hate and the dumb shit they believe. And then at the end of the day, they have to go home with the couple things that I said to them. And then they roll those things around in their mind. And then about a week later, I get an email that says, I really enjoyed our conversation. And you've made me rethink some things. And he's actually gotten Klans members to send him their robes, a black man. And I'm not saying that that's an effective strategy for all of these people. I'm saying that it's much more complicated than that. And that on occasion, the left needs to be better when presented with the opportunity to do so, where they do explain things better, but in less words. Obviously, I'm not that person.
I don't think they know the difference. It seems like to them they're one and the same because they often accuse marginalized people of weaponizing identity politics if they simply talk about social justice issues. So this conversation is often used, also cynically, ironically, as an excuse to dismiss the importance of social.
Yeah, well, what Silent said is also true. When you say something like the right wants to insist that racism and sexism no longer exist, that's also, that's the other side of that coin. That is, it doesn't exist. Well, that's fucking stupid. Obviously, it does exist. Like I said, I come from that background. I can tell you all about it.
Social and racial justice issues when these issues cannot be dismissed because they are important and they require politicians to address them. But in that clip, Bernie Sanders, he almost sounded like a class reductionist. And even though I know that he's not that, I worry that the people listening might feel like they're forced to make a false choice between class issues and social issues based on that conversation. And if a politician, signals support for racial justice causes, they might think, oh, okay, well, they're against class issues and they're against me.
And that gets to a point that I keep making, and that's reductionism. And that is, you don't have to believe just one thing. You can focus on multiple things all at the same time. We can focus on fixing the border, but also not do things like deport people that are living here and not causing a problem or doing anything to harm the people that live here. We can agree that something like the insolvency of Social Security is a problem and talk about the fact, what was it Merton just said, in fact? Merton just said that maybe it isn't about increasing wages, but instead reducing the cost of living. And so it's like, now I might be a raise the minimum wage guy, and Merton might be a lower living cost person, but that doesn't mean that either one of those ideas has to be the end-all solution of the conversation. It could be a conversation in which we talk about both things being potentially part of it, one thing being better than the other being potentially part of it, me being wrong or Merton being wrong. That's my problem, is this reductionist attitude that so many people in this country have, and that is, well, the most important thing is this one thing. Therefore, we can't talk about the other things. We can talk about all of these things. We just need to take a fucking deep breath.
And you have to make it abundantly clear that it is not a zero-sum game. You have to fight for both, and you have to reject that false dichotomy. And I don't think Bernie Sanders was clear enough here. Furthermore, Bernie Sanders should have pointed out how obsessed Republicans are with so-called identity politics. White identity politics is still identity politics. And since this was brought up in the context of super PACs, I wish Bernie Sanders would have explained how both parties cynically weaponize identity politics specifically for oligarchs. I mean, for Democrats, Since they're beholden to special interests and large multinational corporations, getting more women and people of color elected to them is their way of showing the base that they're making progress. It kind of does two things. It says, hey, we're still moving forward as a society. It placates the base while not upsetting their corporate donors who want them to not push as far for certain policies, Medicare for all, for example. But Republicans, they also focus on identity politics. They focus on white identity politics because demonizing minorities obscures the nature of our capitalist political system. And if you think trans people and immigrants are the cause of all of our country's problems, you'll be less likely to not look at the people at the top as
it's a distraction. Yeah.
The real culprits. So if you plant those anti-capitalist seeds and understand how everything goes back to capitalism and defending and protecting capital, then it might have been better. But I don't think Bernie Sanders did that, nor did he explain identity politics well in this particular section of the podcast. Not to mention, both parties also invoke anti-Semitism all the time to shut down criticism of Israel as well. So you can't just say, oh, well, this is just a...
Yeah, we have tons of examples of that in recent history.
Democratic Party problem. It's a problem that both parties...
By the way, I just gave my take on that.
do, right? For nefarious, cynical reasons. So I think that this was a missed opportunity from Bernie Sanders here, at least with respect to this issue. Because these podcasts, what they do, if you listen to them, they always try to bring the conversation back to how Democrats and Democrats alone are bad, which means that you've got to challenge that when you come on these podcasts and burst their bubble and let them know it's not just the Democratic Party that's bad. Sure, they're bad, but Republicans are bad, and not only that, they're worse. And to be fair,
that's what I was going to say. The main goal in this conversation, specifically this Republican Party, the main goal is, somebody just said, was it Super Saint? Somebody else said that Kamala Harris wanted to build affordable housing. That is true. When there is no comparison between who is the light and who is the darkness when it comes to Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Kamala Harris wanted to stop grocery stores from price gouging you by eliminating their ability to take advantage of you during crises, okay, with a price gouging ban, which already exists in 34 states in America and could have been instituted on the federal level. Kamala Harris wanted to influence the middle class in a way that could allow them to do things like purchase affordable housing by building more housing. Kamala Harris has already, as an attorney general, reduced recidivism rates in prisoners by rehabbing rather than putting them in jail. Who goes to jail? It's not the ultra wealthy. It's the middle class and the poor. On the other side is making the liberals cry, crashing the economy, so that way techno oligarchs can take control of the fucking country. Like, there's no comparison between these two. And that's something that I want people, like I said, people will get mad at me because they'll say, you're playing both sides. No, I'm not playing both sides. I clearly believe at this point in my life that the left-wing Democratic Party has more of the people's interests in it than the right wing does. By far. I'm just always up for the conversation.
Fair, Bernie Sanders did that all throughout the episode, but when it comes to this issue, you can't give Republicans a pass. You have to explicitly name...
Dude, silent. You know I love you. Silent. Lena Khan. Fucking Lena Khan being removed is one of the fucking worst outcomes for the middle class that just completely goes unthought of by people in our society. The left, I mean, for 5 seconds, alt media creators talked about it. But the fact that Lena Khan wasn't talked about more is why I'm disheartened with how things get handled in this country on both sides. Because every fucking person in this country should be educated on how Lina Khan made their lives better. Because these are the things that are important. These are the small things. When you have somebody that is keeping, credit card companies from fucking scamming people with the CFPB, when you have Lina Khan getting rid of the ability for you, for companies to keep you from being able to cancel services easily. Somebody that fights through antitrust lawsuits to stop companies like Meta and Google from having monopolies. Like, you don't see it in your everyday life. But behind the scenes, that shit's really fucking important, man.
And shame them. Otherwise, it's going to come across as you conceding that Democrats are exclusively and uniquely bad here when that is not the case. And focusing more on, Republicans in particular is actually, I think, a good strategy, even if, you might not like Democrats, because the people who listen to this podcast probably don't hear critiques of Republicans very often. And to the extent that they do, it's probably a pro-Trump critique and, talking about how rhinos are bad or whatever bullshit they come up with. Yep. But I do want to move on because there's one more clip here that I want to show you where they talk about the Democratic Party again. And I think that this gives us some insight into why these types of guys in particular moved away from the Democratic Party. And then I have a lot to say about that as well. So let's watch.
We felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability.
And what happened, I like Kamala. Kamala would have been my choice. Kamala was my choice during the debate, the original debates. I called her Mamala the whole time. I was like, I think America needs some big mom energy. And I think that she could hit somebody with a chancla, okay? And make them fucking behave. But that was worsened because the right knows that the left already felt that way. I hate to agree with Andrew Schulz. But that was also worsened even more by what happened with Bernie. And that is sometimes, once again, a problem in the party is the kind of the parenting of the constituent of we know better what's better for you than you do, right? But I think Obama, to be honest, Obama kind of pushed his way in there. So hold on. Okay, I found my way to disagree with Andrew Schulz. Thank God. Thank God. Obama was a selection from the people. I mean, I would be hard-pressed to say the second time that he wasn't because people loved him from the first time. Yeah, no, actually, I disagree. Did he say, how long did he say, though? Maybe he's just talking since Biden or Hillary. Maybe he's talking just since Hillary. If he's talking just since Hillary, I could probably agree. But if he's talking about going all the way back to Obama, he said the last 4 presidents, right? He's fucking wrong about Obama. 100% wrong about Obama. Obama was the choice of the people.
Ability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to 2016. I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it, and it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported him.
Look, but you have in the world that I live in, you got a choice, and I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being.
And see, that's what I said. I didn't pre-watch this. That's what I said. Bernie Sanders chose, when he couldn't be the candidate, to say, I don't like this, I don't enjoy this, but I don't want Donald Trump to be the president.
Being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate, people will not have health care.
Ostensibly, there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear...
Fair enough. That is, I'm not going to argue with that point.
So I think it's hard to say that these guys are representative of average men since they're very wealthy. So they're not going to have the same lived experience as regular people who listen to them. But this feeling of disillusionment was probably a turning point for a lot of people. Not just them. I mean, as a Bernie bro myself, I felt extremely disillusioned with the Democratic Party, and I still do. I still don't trust them, and everything that they said in that clip was absolutely factually true. In 2016, the DNC...
Damn, me and Mike both agreed with him. Well, at least I'm not alone.
Teacher had to resign in disgrace after she was caught sabotaging Bernie Sanders when she was supposed to be neutral. And in 2020, when Bernie Sanders was running away with the primary, party elites were prepared to steal the nomination away from him if he wasn't able to win an outright majority. So if the centrist Democrats didn't coalesce around Biden and Bernie ended up winning, we might have seen a very ugly situation unfold where the Democratic Party establishment might have actually taken the nomination away from somebody who won with a plurality. With that being said, feeling disillusioned with the Democratic Party, even if you're justified, is not a justification to jump to the opposite end of the political spectrum and support a fascist.
100%.
And that's why it is so important to point their audience in the correct direction and help them form a more coherent political ideology. Because without any underlying goals or philosophy or principles, you could be a social democrat one election, and then the next you could support a fascist. Now, to be clear, I don't think that it's as simple as them supporting Trump because they hate Democrats. I think that a lot of people are lost and they feel aimless politically, but some of them happen to stumble upon these podcasts and they see Joe Rogan and Andrew Schulz and they think that they're relatable and they form these parasocial relationships with them. And once that trust is already established, it's easy to follow them down the right-wing paths that they take. And I think that this phenomenon is obviously happening, and Democrats have to understand what's happening and why it's happening in part. And they have to rebuild the trust that they lost with these kinds of people if they want to win them back. See, Bernie Sanders was bringing people into the Democratic Party, but it wasn't the kind of people that the Democratic Party wanted. They wanted center-right suburbanites and anti-Trump Republicans because those voters had much lower expectations in terms of policy.
And he's right about that because that's the same thing that happened during Truman during the Red Scare after Roosevelt passed, and Truman had to run after he had served the final years of Roosevelt's final term. And Truman ran. He was running against the Secretary of Agriculture. I always forget his name, but the Secretary of Agriculture was this like really well-respected guy, super smart, very, very progressive person. And he was bringing with him a ton of the communist vote. The left felt that the communist vote was toxic, that it was tainted, that people in America hated communism, that it was the wrong thing. And it's very comparable to Bernie's situation, where bringing progressives into a Democratic Party that believed in playing between the 45s and reaching across to corporate interests on the right was the way to win. He very much was the exact opposite of what they really wanted people to come in. And that's really sad because, unfortunately, the type of people that he was bringing in were people that were saying the middle class deserves to be treated better, that poor people deserve to be treated better, that social safety net should exist, that, you know, everybody goes too far sometimes. We all do. I used to take things way too far, especially when it came to racism. Like somebody who was racist, like I physically got violent with people. Some people would say that's not taking it too far. But if you were in my shoes and you're around some of the times that I did the things I did, I could tell you 100% sometimes I went too far. And so there is a time where everybody goes too far. But that doesn't mean that like people, for instance, that were very anti-violence but also anti-racist would hate me, even though we had like the same basis of foundation, right, of our beliefs, because I was willing to take it to a physical place where they thought that that was a mistake, and in doing so, like I embarrassed those people or I made them feel as uncomfortable. And a lot of those people, instead of choosing to kind of disown me or disavow me, instead kind of explained themselves to me and made me feel like, all right, like, I don't agree with you. I believe that there is a time where this is important, but you're probably right. There are times where maybe that shouldn't be the first thing that I jump to. And that's what is supposed to make the left, is we're supposed to be able to have conversations about the people in the party that we agree with foundationally on their morals, on the directions that they want to take the country, but also be able to criticize and analyze the things that they do that we disagree with, or the paths that they take to accomplish them. The problem sometimes on the left, obviously, is that there are certain times where we get so mad that somebody has some small difference with us that we tend to push those people away rather than talking to them and deciding on something that would benefit all of us. And I think that that's something that we have to be better about. As I've said before, Mike here is a much more progressive person than me. Mike will 100% stand up there and say that Israel is garbage and should never have done anything that they ever did. And I will sit here and say, hey, you know, I saw some of that shit that happened on October 7th. And I'll tell you this, if that was one of my kids, I probably would have went over there myself and probably would have fucking ended up getting myself murdered trying to take revenge. I don't think that that means that me and Mike can't have a conversation. I think that that's actually just the right time to have a conversation.
See, a Liz Cheney supporting anti-Trump Republican isn't going to ask for Medicare for all. They're going to be fine with tweaks around the edges. But a Bernie bro, a quote-unquote Bernie bro, however, is going to want something much more substantial like Medicare for all, which would put the party at odds with their health industry donors who do not want them to support that policy for obvious reasons. And the fact that so many Democrats simply won't acknowledge this reality, or they'll speak around the issue of money in politics, that is why there's a trust issue, and Democrats have to address this. The fact that the party is at odds with their own base because of their donors has to be addressed directly.
100%.
But even though there's nothing wrong with what was said in that clip, it kind of goes back to my point about both sidesism and false equivalences that bothers me about these podcasts. Right now, Democrats are not in power. Republicans are. And Trump is violating the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendments. His authoritarianism should be the primary focus for center-left guests going on these right-leaning podcasts like this, because not addressing the elephant in the room might make viewers think that Trump's authoritarianism isn't so bad, because if the Democrats are also authoritarian and undemocratic, then why does it matter if Trump's also authoritarian and undemocratic? Why does it matter if Trump wants to do away with due process and habeas corpus if Democrats would probably do the same thing? You have to be clear here and make sure you are not creating a false equivalence, even if it's inadvertent, because these kinds of audiences are extremely impressionable, and I think that you want to make sure that you are challenging their pre-existing biases and not affirming them. And on a different platform, I wouldn't be as nitpicky, but on a right-wing platform like this one, the one goal is to do everything you can to delegitimize the fascists in power. That doesn't mean that you have to be a Democratic Party hack. You can be honest and critique them, but it has to be more of a yes and not a yes period. And to be fair to Bernie Sanders, I think that he brought up Trump's authoritarianism all throughout the episode, so it's not like he didn't push back enough, but you do have to be quick on your toes here, because these people are very good at bringing everything back to the Democratic Party. Yep. And they're uniquely bad as opposed to Republicans, right? Even if you don't say Democrats only are bad, people are primed to think that that's the case, which is why they end up tacitly supporting Republicans, because if they just hear Democrats bad, Democrats bad, Democrats bad, then the impression is, oh, well, I guess I'll support Republicans. And that's how I think some people from the Bernie bro community ended up down this Trump supporting path, as these guys were the case, to the extent that they're representative of average people, which is limited. But, nonetheless, you don't have to defend Democrats, but you should definitely reject the false equivalence, because as much as I loathe the Democratic Party myself, the difference between them and Republicans is very clear. But I don't want to sound overly critical of Bernie Sanders in this section, because I think that overall, when you step back and you look at the entire appearance, I think it was fine overall. I think he did really well. I don't think that viewers of podcasts like this typically go out of their way to leave their bubbles, which is why I think it's really important for people to go on these platforms and meet them where they are. But if politicians are going to continue to do things like this, which they should, they've got to be mindful of the pitfalls that could ultimately undermine the message that they're trying to get out to these communities.
The Humanist Report.
Yeah, that's actually Mike fucking killed it right there. Mike killed it right there. Absolutely killed it right there. And that's something like I try to continue to do is say, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I have criticisms of the way things get done on the left. I have criticisms of how sometimes people push out people that they have foundationally the same beliefs and goals as. But at the end of the day, I'm not that person, right? I'm not going to push you out if you believe that people should have health care. If you believe that people should have more time with their family members, that they should have paid time off, that no person should ever go bankrupt because their wife has cancer or lose their home because of that. If you have the same beliefs as I do, then we can have a conversation even if we disagree on how those things should be done or when certain lines are crossed. But what Mike said is really important. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. Donald Trump is a dictator. Donald Trump is pushing past lines that should have never, ever been tested by a president of the United States of America. Donald Trump is one of the, if not the, worst president that has ever occupied the Oval Office. And I don't want people to ever get that wrong. Donald Trump's not just a shitty human being. Donald Trump's a moron. Donald Trump has no idea how to run a country. Donald Trump has done nothing but diminish and demoralize America's stature with the rest of the world. So I don't want anybody to ever get that wrong. Anytime that I'm sitting here saying what happened to Bernie Sanders is bullshit, that doesn't mean you should vote for Trump. That's the Andrew Callahan thing. You still have to have your same morals whether or not you agree with the thing that happened to you and whether or not you think it was wrong or not. Bernie being treated the way he was treated was wrong. That doesn't in no way legitimize Donald Trump doing what Donald Trump is doing. It was very well said by Mike there. Very well said. And people, we got to get to a point where we can talk to each other. We do. We got to be able to say it. Like I said, I've had people come in and just absolutely shit on me because I won't just stand up and say the same things that they say. And that came from the left. Now, every one of those people, they could come back. They could hang out. Platon, come on back, bud. We disagree. They disagree. Yeah, they did. I think they know something about this fertility clinic thing there, Alti. I believe the guy is a mortalitist. Mental health diseases. They are wide. They are varied. I did not know a mortalitist existed. It's crazy. There's a lot of fucking crazy people out there. There's a lot of weird fucking ideologies out there. I think it's too soon to speak on that, but I think we will at one point talk about that shit. Need a little more information on a mortalitist. All right. It's time for me to go. Time for me to go eat dinner. Maybe we'll do a podcast on that at one point. Yeah. It's fucking weird out there. It's fucking weird out there. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you to the people that joined the army. Thank you for all of you guys at Super Chat. Look out for the video when it comes out. I hope you guys will enjoy the video when it does clear its disputes, its copyright disputes. It'll be coming out soon. It was pretty fucking eye-opening for me to watch. Changed some things that I thought about some of the people that voted for Trump. Not in a good way, by the way. Not in a good way. I didn't think he could get much lower, and it did. It got lower. It got lower, guys. So anyways, yeah. Look out for that. Probably for the next week or two, probably not going to be able to live stream as much as I continue to try to do things behind the scenes to get a bigger audience and grow a better community for you guys and for me, and try to do things that matter. So probably the next live stream will probably be Saturday at 5 p.m. And until then, I want you guys to stay safe out there. I think you guys are one of the reasons I'm still here and still doing good. So I appreciate you guys a lot. I love that you guys have been here and have helped me get through this. So thank you so much to everybody. You guys are an amazing community. And yeah, don't forget. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And hope to see you next time.
Yeah, you effin' with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word. P-word. P-word is